Thanks so much. I believe in all of you, and I am confident we can do it. Thank you very much. I have just come from Buckingham Palace, where I have accepted His Majesty the King's invitation to form a government. I know people at home are fed up with politics. I hear you, and I want to be honest with you. We have not been good enough, and we need to be better. We will be.
This man has no mandate whatsoever. He didn't stand on the 2024 general election manifesto. You cannot make the biggest change in British politics in 40 years without a mandate from the British people, and it will be only decent, right and proper to call a general election on that issue and to do it now.
Our fifth Prime Minister in 4 years. Blimey. And, well, look, we want him to succeed. But will this one be any different? Andy Burnham, the new head honcho, the speed this all happened, I know this is a well-trodden debate already, is actually breathtaking. 1 minute he was Mayor of Greater Manchester. What, a month and a bit ago he wasn't even an MP. The next he's holding keys to number 10 without the country ever really having a chance to scrutinise him in a prospective prime ministerial nothing at all. We really know very little.
I think Burnham has to walk a fine line. I think that's probably what's going on, because if he were to sweep into Downing Street and say, I'm going to change everything, I'm going to fix everything, I'm going to do things completely differently to Starmer, then people would say, hold on, mate, we need a general election in that case, because no one voted for that. No one voted for you to be Prime Minister. You weren't standing in the 2024 general election. We've never seen your manifesto. Who the hell are you? That's what people would be asking.
It is therefore my honour to declare that the duly elected leader of the Labour Party is Andy Burnham.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks so much. I believe in all of you, and I am confident we can do it. Thank you very much. I have just come from Buckingham Palace, where I have accepted His Majesty the King's invitation to form a government. I know people at home are fed up with politics. I hear you, and I want to be honest with you. We have not been good enough, and we need to be better. We will be.
This man has no mandate whatsoever. He didn't stand on the 2024 general election manifesto. You cannot make the biggest change in British politics in 40 years without a mandate from the British people, and it will be only decent, right and proper to call a general election on that issue and to do it now.
Our fifth Prime Minister in 4 years. Blimey. And, well,
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to Sunday Brunch with Paul Cox and Alex Phillips. Mozart. With Mozart and Alex Phillips. Sorry, good morning to you. We are already laughing because I just glanced up from all my paperwork and looked at Paul, and the first thing I've basically said to him all day is, why do you have Mozart hair? because you do. I've not seen it like that.
No, I had it like, as I was trying to explain to you as we were going live on air, trying to be very professional broadcasters, my hair's very curly, so when it gets to a certain length, and I'm growing it out a bit at the moment, I put some wax in it, sweep it back, and you get this look from me.
Are you going to end up, you're either going to go full Mozart, a little bit of Chopin, or you're going to go like sort of noughties footballer with that sort of zigzag Alice band.
Or the Queen. I could turn it into the Queen.
Anyway, there are lots of serious news to discuss today.
Of course
There is. And we want to share it all with you. And we also want you to chip in, do your bit, help carry the load, have your say. 0344 499 1000 is the number to call at your normal network rate. You can also, of course, leave us ditties, jingles, limericks, freestyle raps, sing-alongs, opinions, haikus on WhatsApp via voice note on 0344 499 1000. 8722 is if you're old school and want to send a good old-fashioned text. I'm amazed, actually, how many people still do that.
Do you remember what's in the post bag when we get out?
I do sometimes get things in the post.
Do you? Yes.
Yeah. Someone wonderfully sent me a CD the other day, but I don't have a CD player because it's 2026. Yeah. So I'm like,
now, do I have one anywhere?
And it's not. I don't have nothing. I don't
one
have
in your
like
car?
a.
Have you got one in your car?
No, my car is a recent car. It's not.
Because it is.
It's not like a Volkswagen Golf, you know, in white.
Should be.
And I don't. I mean, who does anyone have a CD? Where do you play a CD?
Our audience will have CD players.
Our audience don't not only have CD players, they're still making CDs.
Yeah,
they're old school. They're trad.
They're still trying to get it down to Woolworths to get the...
We all know that the 90s was the peak of civilization.
It very much feels that way. It still feels that way. I keep trying to figure out to myself, is this some sort of rose-tinted nostalgia? But it's not, because you just look around and everything... Question for everybody, has anything improved since the 90s?
All right, Mozart.
I'm trying to take myself seriously.
Actually, that's a really good question. Yeah, cars. I think they're easier to drive. They're better. Cars are better.
Yeah, power steering. Remember when power steering came in?
Yeah.
All I really wanted was power steering and metallic paint. That was my aspiration.
I remember when back in the day you'd buy a car and the first thing you did was take it down Halfords, rip out the cassette player and put the CD player in.
Yeah, you get one. There used to be a whole section down there, didn't there?
Yeah.
And then just play
Did
it
like
really
walking
loudly.
up and down, it'd have all like the lights coming off them, flashing around. No, does that section exist anymore? Because I think most people now, you have a decent enough music system where you can Bluetooth and all the rest of it.
What would you play in the car? Bit of Snow, Informer?
Oh, no. Yeah, actually, definitely, that was my sort of music. I used to, like, I used to have a really old Mini, like an original Mini Mayfair.
Did you? Like a tiny one?
Yeah, in British Racing Green, called Studley.
And it's named?
Yeah, because his number plate was
My first car was a British Racing Green as well.
His number plate was G63TUD, and G635TUD, and so the 5 was put next to the TUD, and the G63 stood alone, so it's G63... Stud. I wonder where he is now, because I sold him and I hope somebody did him up, looked after him, and he's still in circulation. Yeah, you probably can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to do that in the next advert break.
Yeah.
I'm going to hunt down Studley and reclaim him.
What if he's out there?
But we used to drive all the way from Gloucester up to Durham University, and when I was at University
Did you go to Durham?
I did go to Durham.
That's a good university.
Well, I know, thank you, I am bright. I've noticed.
You are very bright, actually.
I'm accomplished
I don't know why I
academically.
pretended that you were anything other than that.
No, I went to the University of... Durham. I was trying to think of a rubbish one. I thought that's not fair. It's not fair to play that
you
game.
You could have put any of it. You can choose my one if you like.
I went to the University of non-Durham.
Durham was
what
great.
was yours?
I went to the University of Portsmouth.
Did you do naval architecture?
I did electronics engineering.
Well, I think that's probably quite elevated, actually. I bet Portsmouth is one of those sort of like specific industry-related hubs where that is...
They were, yes, very much so, actually, because of all the reasons you're
thinking. You've got to know the specific industry universities. Because I remember when I was at Durham and I had... graduated, was about to graduate, and I went to the head of philosophy, who taught me metaphysics, and I said, will you write my reference to go to... And I'd got a first. I was predicted a first. I got a first and a second year. I was predicted a first, which I then got. And I said, will you be my referee for going on to my next thing? And he's like, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to Cardiff University. And he's like, what? And I said, yeah, I'm doing a diploma. And he just looked at me like, have you lost your mind? You know, you're getting a double first from Durham. Why aren't you off to, like, Oxford or Cambridge? And I'm like, because the diploma at Cardiff is the #1 journalism school in the world. You've got to know these things. Got to know. Got to be in the industry knowledge.
You got to be in.
You've got to be in that industry
knowledge.
knowledge.
Be under the blanket.
Yeah, that's why I think your electronics at Portsmouth probably has
it is good.
secret prestige.
It does have some secret prestige. That's why I've got the haircut.
That's why I got the Mozart hair. Right, we've got to get on. We didn't actually. I forgot to do the bit in the housekeeping where I say if you want to send us a text 87222. Write the word talk before you text. I actually left that bit off.
Otherwise, you could go anywhere.
Well, it could go to Talk Sport. What's their thing? Do you have to write sports before you text for them?
Probably.
I don't know.
Man.
Yeah. But
Alpha.
Oh, it's a different number. So why do we have to write talk then, Tech Op? No one knows, but you do. There's something old school about systems here. Anyway, I like this. We've already got messages. I love you too, and glad you liked my Dream Girls jingle last week.
Oh, we did.
Natalie off London, but living in beautiful Wales.
Oh, wow.
We love jingles. Jingles are amazing, and Merv is already in the
Merv,
mix. Merv's in the mix. Yeah.
Another week of Merv.
You could have knocked me down with a feather when you played my little version of Summertime. Lyrics changed a bit. Have you heard this?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, we'll have that later on the show.
Was
it's
it
amazing.
on one of the other days?
Merv is actually a brilliant musical performer and did this gorgeous rendition of Summertime, but about me, but it includes you.
Really?
Yeah, now you're interested, aren't you? You're like, oh, no, I don't care about that. When I say it includes you, you're like, ding.
I was like, yeah, this is boring. Oh, me, yeah. Let's listen.
If you want me to play the accompanying tune on my whistle, just ask.
Right, Merv, what is your whistle?
We do need the accompanying tune on the whistle, without a doubt. I think that is... I've never been more certain about anything in my life. I'm very indecisive. I'm the sort of person who walks into a pub and I could be queuing at a bar for 10 minutes. When I get to the bar, I still don't know what I want.
Do you queue into the bar?
Well, it depends how deep it is, doesn't it? No, you just sort of float around it.
You can't... That is socialism.
He got really excited because the Telegraph's done its top 500 pubs.
Yes, I've got it in front of me.
Yeah. And I know many of them. Intimately, especially the ones in my region. Yeah, and I'm pleased to say that Alex's all-time favourite pub, Bzz, 2, are in it.
Wow.
So there you go. The people of my locale will be very delighted with that list. They will. Right, the people of my locale, however, might not be as delighted with the fact that Harry and Meghan are likely to be moving in there. Because they're going to be Cotswolds, aren't they? The chit-chat today is that Earl Spencer said, you can come and live at Althorp.
Where is Althorp geographically?
Northamptonish.
Right in the centre of the old...
Just north of London in the countryside.
Yeah.
Near Silverstone, one assumes. I don't know.
I'm
not well acquainted with Northampton.
No, I've driven through it. It's usually on the way, isn't it? You normally go just up there.
Going north. It's the Hampton on your way to the north.
It is, yeah.
That's where it's got its name
That's why it's
from.
called that, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
By the way, do any of your other shows start like this, or do I bring this special juice?
It depends how busy the news is.
Yeah.
Listen, today is one of those days where it's sort of like, well, there's bits. We are going to get through a lot of tidbits, but there isn't sort of big breaking news. There's no sort of huge story leading the way.
Nearly everybody who speaks to me, like recognises me and speaks to me, says they love this show. I do my own show 5 days a week.
But no one cares. I'm
on other channels. No one just says, how's Alex? I'm like, just ask yourself. I'm fed up. I'm fine as well, by the way.
I remember I used to have a problem with a cat. When I lived in Cardiff, my cat, Murdoch, named after Rupert. He was named after Rupert, the late, great Rupert Murdoch cat, was so popular with all the neighbours. Everyone knew the cat. One day I came home and he was sitting in a tree and someone was feeding him digestives. Then another day I got a knock on the door and a woman I've never seen before in my life said, my daughter is having a tantrum. She won't be able to get in her pushchair because she's not seen your cat. Then another day I went to a party and the neighbours downstairs, I was the top 2 floors of the house, and as I went there everyone's walking around and like the cat's there and everyone's like making a fuss at the cat. And I go in, obviously he went to the party hours before me. I go in and I pick up the cat and everyone's like, oh my gosh, the cat's so friendly, oh my gosh, you can pick up the cat. And I'm like, well, it is my cat. And then another time I went to get a parcel from like basically the other end of the street, and I knock on the door and someone says, and then someone says, are you the woman who owns that big cat? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, oh, Mary, come here, come to the door. And I'm like, it's the woman who owns the big cat. And I go, oh my gosh, what's the cat's name? So, well, he's called Murdoch. How old is he? He's about 11. He's got AIDS. He did.
He had AIDS?
Yeah, he had FIV, yeah.
Cat AIDS?
Yeah, he did. But he lived a very long, healthy life because I looked after him well.
Was he like a promiscuous gay cat?
No, he used to live on the streets. Got into a few scraps with some gnarly, promiscuous ones. But he was a bruiser. He was all right.
What a story.
But then, about a 10-minute conversation about the cat, and I left with my parcel, thinking we didn't even ask me my name.
No.
Don't you worry about that.
Murdoch.
Only Murdoch mattered. Right. Anyway, come on. We're veering off topic again. So here we go. Harry apparently is now coming back, so they say, but it's all falling apart. Like, what I don't understand is. Everyone's saying, well, she's been offered £1 million to be in Netflix The Gentleman. Then I've read this morning, actually, the offer's been rescinded because of all the negative publicity around it. I think what's gone on here is they've tried to sort of force a situation by leaking that she's going to be in The Gentleman in the hope that I'm like, oh, my God, that's amazing. And then the writers of The Gentleman were like, oh, gosh, we're going to have to script her in now, aren't we? But they've gone, no, you're not.
No, because they don't... The Gentleman, I mean, I've not watched it, but...
Oh, it's good.
I hear very good things. It's a success in its own right, so Meghan Markle isn't going to make it a success or add anything to it other than maybe her presence. And she can't keep her mouth shut. This is the thing, right? It doesn't... Why not just... If you're coming back, come back, whatever, OK? They're entitled to move as they wish. And if you've got a job... and it's in part of your old world, you're trying to settle back down after 6 to 8 years of absolute turmoil. OK, fair enough. But why tell everyone about absolutely everything? Because it just chucks everyone under the bus. It elevates... It's this kind of self-elevation above everyone else. Well, of course, I'm going to be in The Gentleman. And...
See, I think what's gone on is a bit like me going, I'm going to release into the American media that Alex Phillips, not that anyone cares or knows about me, but Alex Phillips is moving to Washington, D.C. and also going to feed to the press that I'm going to take over Caroline Leavitt's job as Trump's spokeswoman. There you go. By the way, I am going to leave the UK and I'm going to go and do Caroline Leavitt's job as Trump's new spokeswoman. There you are.
You heard it here first.
Write the headlines, everybody. It's happening. And then what happens is someone from the White House goes, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
No, you're absolutely not going to do that, my friend.
There was
I
never
think
any
that's what's
contract,
going
apparently.
on.
I read that story a little bit, and there was never any contract signed. There might have been a gentleman's agreement for gentlemen, that perhaps you could have a role in Series 3 or whatever, but there was never a contract, and, what a way to talk yourself out of work.
What are they going to do? Because the timing is so weird. I was out for dinner with Niall Gardner and Samara yesterday. We should have invited you.
Why didn't you? I saw Niall this week.
Well, we
for
saw
the
your
first
hair
time.
and we realised we didn't want to be seen with you in a public space.
I saw Niall only very, very briefly on Monday.
Yeah.
I've not seen him since. He's
a great man. He's a great man. But, so I've lost my... blah, blah.
You went out for dinner.
There was a girl
what
who
are they
stood the
gonna do?
Royals and gossip, and I can't remember what it was.
I mean, I don't know what they're going to do, really, because...
Oh, no, that's it. So everything about this smacks as weird, because it seems to be not last minute, but they came over in the summer, clearly to sniff out properties, scout out somewhere. It's going to be the Cotswolds, because Meghan is like paint-by-numbers, predictable, American wannabe. And if you're a paint-by-numbers, predictable American wannabe, this is what happens. This happened to Ellen DeGenerate. I always like calling her that.
Yeah,
it's sort of half happened to Beyonce and Jay-Z, which is...
Are any of them still there?
Nah, so this is the thing. So Ellen DeGenerate comes over and goes, I'm leaving America because I don't like Donald Trump and I'm moving to the Cotswolds because it's amazing. It's got to be the Oxfordshire Cotswolds because that's where the cool people live, not where I live, where it's like farmhands and tradies. No. The cool kids' Cotswolds. And so... she goes over and, puts a load of selfies on a sit-on lawnmower for the one sunny day that we had last year. And then she discovers that it becomes a quagmire for the most part, so that actually you spend more of your life trying to figure out how to remove various shades and, colours and, bits of mud from your clothing, your hair, your feet, your house, than you do, enjoying. And so she went, no, I don't like it anymore, and went. So I reckon that house could be... on their radar.
DeGenerate's house could be there.
Yeah, it could be. But then the next thing that happened is when Ellen DeGenerate said, I'm leaving America for the Cotswolds, Beyonce and Jay-Z were like, we're leaving America for the Cotswolds! And they bought this house with all this land, which then flooded. So, and then they don't want it anymore. So Harry and Meghan sitting there going, let's come back super quickly. Summer's over, my friends. We're going to have a few more bits and bobs, but we're about to enter Mudworld.
Yes.
Mudworld is beckoning, right? So I'm prepared for it now. Also, by the way, you can't heat your house in the Cotswolds. You have to just set it on fire if you want to stay warm. There is no such thing as a warm house, I swear. But Why would you come now in autumn? Yes, the kids have suddenly been enrolled in school. Oh, guess what? You know, spaces appeared on the waiting list. No, no, no. I think this has been all last minute. I think a lot of this is push rather than pull. Yes, of course, Harry's gone, oh my gosh, they're going to expose the fact I, you know, lied on my visa. We could get booted out. Where are we going to go? Well, where are we going to go? It's got to be back to the UK. And I suppose he sort of spent most of his time growing up in the Cotswolds. I think it's more the push factor, and that's blimmin' little Niall Gardner who's done that.
Niall's pushed him out.
Niall was the one who led the charge of, you know, suing the Home Security, what do they call it in America?
Oh, yeah.
State Home, we call it the Home Office.
Yeah.
They've got another name for it. But he's the one who sort of pushed for the release of all of the applications on the visa, because either he didn't lie on the visa and has confessed to taking all of these A-class drugs, which normally you would not get given a green card, or he's lied on the visa. And so he's been pushing for this information to come out, basically saying you cannot have a situation where one private citizen, because that's what they choose to become, is treated completely differently by the law to everyone else. So I wonder if that was about to come to fruition, that they're panicking, which is
also, they've been there a certain number of years, which would mean that if they stayed any longer, they'd be liable for tax.
Oh, yeah, there's a capital gains thing coming on, isn't there?
Which is between 6 and 7 years, which happens to be, coincidentally, it could just be a coincidence. The amount of time
There's chit-chat, they're broke as well.
Yeah, I don't know how people like that get broke. I think it's the means by which they live. They're going to keep their house in Montecito. I don't know how they're going to do that. I assume they're going to Airbnb. That's going to be a nightmare. They're going to have to get a cleaner in after the weekend. It's going to be, you know, just going to... Who's going to go and stay in Montecito for a couple of nights just to chill out? And they've also got their place in Portugal. These are assets. So, you know, there's considerable assets there, £5-6 million worth of assets.
Yeah.
Plus whatever it's going to cost to move to the Cotswolds. That's a lot of money.
But obviously we're now potentially the ones who are going to have to fund their security. And I think, well, if you've got all these assets, sell the gaff in Montecito and pay it for yourself.
I think the King should pay for it, not out of public money. I think the King should pay for it out of his own pocket. Look, there is a very strong argument that they should have security. There's an even stronger argument against the public paying for it. There are other royals that aren't getting the level of protection that they want. So they can have as much security as they like. They want to pay for it themselves. Great.
You know what's interesting? So original estimates for how much security would cost to keep them safe? 5 million. Where have we heard that figure before?
It's the magic number.
It's the magic number, isn't it? Also, before we go to break, I'm just teeing something up which I found hidden in the papers today, which is that Andy Burnham, our new Prime Minister, is now facing claims that he's breached House of Commons rules by not declaring a gift in the 12 months before he was elected.
Oh, here we go.
Well, it'll be interesting to see whether Andy Burnham... Well, no, it's apparently 6,600 quid for a party in Japan.
The value is not consequential, actually, if you think about it, because they argue on a moral principle. This is
it's
what the
about
left
declaration.
do.
It's about the declaration, isn't it? Whether or not you declared this and whether or not this has sort of, you know, compromised your integrity. So with Andy Burnham, he failed to declare a VIP party held in his honour in Osaka. What's going on there?
The famous annual Andy Burnham
Yeah, who in Osaka's
gathering.
like, right, we've got to get a special VIP party for the Mayor of Greater Manchester?
Jesus. It's incredible.
And that, to me, is weirder. Like, who's done that? Why? Why is there a party in Osaka for the Greater Manchester Mayor? That, to me, weirdly, even though the amount is less, is more red flaggy than Nigel Farage going, I was given money for my security. You know, we had discussions and it was decided it wasn't relevant and I didn't need to declare it. And yet they're, you know, creating a load of brouhaha over the Farage thing, trying to make it sound like he's a monster. And it's like, and again, like I said, there it is. Original estimates for armed police protection for £5 million. But I'm like, oh, funny that number's appeared again. The Standards Committee have painted
themselves into a corner, haven't they? Really have, because ultimately Nigel Farage has done nothing wrong, other than perhaps missed a nuance in the process. So perhaps he should have said, I've had this gift and what it's for. Perhaps not. Perhaps that's not what it's about. He took legal advice. But then that opens the door to absolutely everybody now is going to be scrutinised for exactly the same thing. So the Standards Committee either have to really punish Nigel Farage, which they can't do because it looks ridiculous, because if he has to go back to Clacton, that's just the end of our democracy. Might as well have a dictatorship after that. Also, they're going to have a lot more work a lot more work to do, because every single one, I mean, Angela Rayner's already got 20 grand. You know, we just found out that Burnham's had 6 grand. These are all politically infused events as well. Whereas Nigel Farage is just trying to protect his life. It's not political.
But it has worked. The whole scheme has definitely worked. It's knocked points off reform. You are hearing the average people echo it, going, well, I don't trust him. Oh, it's something to do with fraud and crypto. And a lot of people don't get into the nitty-gritty of politics. They pick up the sort of ripples that come out from the stone dropped in the pond. And so what they get by the time it reaches them is Nigel Farage, weird 5 million quid, crooks, crypto, not sure anymore.
Well,
and
if that's the case,
it has had a deleterious effect on their polling. I'm sure of it.
Andy Burnham has literally released a pamphlet telling people who come to this country that he tells us are not any danger whatsoever not to rape us.
Yeah, I know.
So that is far bigger deal. That's a far bigger cost to life and financial, because every life has a financial cost as well, irrespective of whether we like to discuss it or not. So that's a far bigger deal. I mean, what country has to remind people who come here not to
go on the rape? It's mad, isn't it?
Don't touch yourself on the bus.
On that weird note from Mozart, we're going to go to break. But when we come back, we're going to be digging into the depths of the newspapers. We're going to be talking about Kemi Badenoch, who is sort of banging on about deals, no deals. Lord knows it's OK. Meghan Markle's here. She can come and start opening them boxes again. Well, we're going to be talking about as well how Iranian hackers managed to shut down a UK power plant. We are riddled with operatives from the IRGC, Russia, a lot of it. So much to talk about. Don't go anywhere. We're back after this.
We have to stand up to the French. We have to be much tougher. We have to stop. I mean, it is the pull factor is huge, but even without the pull factor, there are going to be people who, you know, want to come across that bit of ocean and come to us. And I just think, once again, you know, we do a lot of talking about it, and Andy Burnham, every time he's interviewed, says, oh, yes, but there's fewer boats coming. There may be fewer boats coming, but they're actually bigger boats and they're holding just as many people. I think the money we're giving to France is unbelievably big for what they're doing for us.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Oh, in a bid to try and figure out whether it is indeed Mozart's hair, I think it is Mozart's hair, I find out there is actually a hairdresser in London called Mozart's Hair. So
it's mine.
That's where you're off to after this. Move things out the way. Gosh, we've got a messy workspace. Let's talk now about blimmin' pact. I am so fed up with all of this pact business, you know? And Kemi Badenoch, who has been chatting with Ian Dale, has been saying that the prospect of a coalition government with Reform UK is monstrous. And she says, this is what's so ironic, she says, I couldn't be in a party that fights amongst itself all the time. I mean, it's
the
just
irony.
The irony of all of that.
The first things first is this: we're so far out from a general election that the idea of a pact would probably be... It's a game of chess right now, isn't it? But because it's a game of chess, I'm always astonished that they're not more sort of Weasley worded about it. She's so adamant. The idea that Kemi Badenoch right now could win a general election on her own for the Birds. The idea that Reform right now can win an election on its own, probably for the Birds also, but a greater chance than the Tories.
But this is it, right? So she said to Ian Dale at Edinburgh Fringe, Reform is just people fighting all the time. Pretty sure that is why everyone stopped voting for the Conservatives. Do they forget the 1922 committee, Sir Graham, what's his chops?
Sir Graham was his chops, the first.
Sir Graham I want to say Brady.
Yeah.
I mean, they hadn't rolled him out of the station cupboards for a while, so I've forgotten his name. But, you know, counting his envelopes. That was the Conservatives. And she basically says they're all over the place. How do I work with people like that? It's like, no, that's what we think of you. But also, and I've said this a gazillion times, the party that is the absolute professionals at plotting and coups and factions and scandal and leaks and backstabbing is the Tories. Every time. They are obsessed. They always have been. In the Thatcher years, they were up to it. In the Major years, they were up to it. In the Cameron years, weirdly, it sort of stabilised a bit. I can't remember much faction fighting. But then we had the period of, well, Theresa, after David Cameron, Theresa May, Boris Johnson, Rishi Sunak, Liz Truss, the IR... Not the IRGC, the ERG.
That's next year.
Yeah, that's next year. And like I've said for a long time, I know what they've been up to behind the scenes.
Sneaky.
Trying to make little arrangements by creating a lab party and then releasing it into the public with a special gain of function that it will be really popular with the algorithms. And now they've gone...
We're going to be told it was from a wet market, aren't we, this new party?
Yeah, so that's now political COVID, so they've washed their hands of it. But the Conservatives are the ones who are obsessed with fighting all the time. And actually, if they had just kept on keeping on in their corner, rather than constantly plotting and being obsessed with attacking Farage, because that's what a lot of their energy is spent on, and Reform just stayed doing their thing, the polling would be different. Look, I think Badenoch is a decent enough performer. I think she manages to sort of, you know, read her lines very well at PMQs. But I don't see her, I don't feel like she talks to me much. I don't see her sitting there doing Q&As with the media, or she doesn't pop up a lot on different TV shows. I don't know if you've noticed that. She's not often doing interview rounds. All she does is these sort of sassy sucker punches from the dispatch box. And yes, they look good, but if they weren't the official party of opposition, who else is there? They'd be in obscurity. I don't know anyone in the Conservative Party anymore. I don't.
No, she's trying... Well, she's doing a job of trying to create the Conservative Party in her image. And look, I'm not a member of any party. What I do know is we need... Whether you talk about right and left anymore, I don't know if that's of any importance. But what I do know is all the sensible Britain-saving solutions are from the traditional right of politics. And unless that starts to coalesce... And by the way, there is a shared common ground of about 75–80% across Reform and Conservative in terms of policy and philosophy.
I think if you were to white label the supposed manifestos of Reform, the Conservatives and that other blimmin' organisation, that other thing, you probably wouldn't know whose was whose. And this is what is so frustrating.
But if they don't come together, Alex, we have a massive issue.
We're left. We've gone. We're just socialists. But this is what is really so annoying politically about where we've got to, because it's taken decades of hard graft, fighting, blood, sweat, tears, demonisation, ostracisation, shame, people losing their professions, losing friends, you know, because they wanted to fight for this country's future against the odds and against this huge, muscular, mean, machine of the state. And we finally got to a point, and not so much because of the fight, but because of how bad things have got. Because the people who are saying, look, the immigration thing is a major problem, and were shouted down, they have been proven right. The people who said, look, being part of the ECHR is a major problem. Well, you're monsters. You want to stick kids up chimneys and hang people in, you know, in Trafalgar Square. No, we don't. Oh, look, they've been proven right. So it's actually circumstance that has, I think, brought us to a position where we could now finally get a government to deal with the things that certain people have been banging on about for decades. And at that exact moment, at the 11th hour, you've now got 3 right-wing parties, well, 2 really, who all coalesce around exactly the same ideology and are expending their energy trying to out-right-wing the other, or demonise the other, or prevent the other, or attack the other. Thanks, Ratty. Right. And it's the most heartbreaking, desperate, farcical, risible situation to be in as a nation.
Oh, it's terrible, and it's much greater than party political politics. It's much greater than that now. I mean, traditionally, in my time, you're voting for a party that's largely similar to the way you see yourself in the world, OK? So, and you end up voting left when you're young sometimes because you want to be treated well in the world, and the left moralise politics and say, we will treat everybody equally, we want to treat you well. Obviously, it's a nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. It falls over very quickly, and as soon as you get out into the big grown-up world, you realise that these adults are just children. However, as we're going on now, we're seeing the greatest, most significant decline as a culture, as an English, as a British culture that we have ever seen in modern history. And ever since I had my hair cut, I could just tell by the way you were looking at me. But because of that, we have to make choices, irrespective of our allegiances, to try and fix the country, Alex.
We do, and this is what I hate now. In politics, the telos, like the end goal, the purpose, should be saving the country, delivering policy. Oh, my goodness, we've got masses of debt. We're about to go over the cliff. I just can't look at you, Mozart. We're about to go over the cliff when it comes to the debt to GDP ratio. We're about to pass the £1 trillion mark. It is ridiculous. The welfare bill is totally unsustainable. It's about £1 billion a day just given to people to not work. We've got illegal immigrants breaking into the country, attacking women and girls, so much so that the government's like, oh, we better give them the leaflets, tell them not to do that. We've got Iranians who are shutting down power plants, Russians who are starting cyber attacks. It's just, we are a really critical position right now. And the telos of someone who's in politics should be to solve those problems. But it's not. Because everyone's proposing the same potential solutions and then trying to beat the other person to be the person who gets to do it. So the telos of these politicians is actually all about self-aggrandisement. It's like football mentality. My team has to win. I don't care. This isn't a game. This isn't an entertainment. No. This is governance. And for too long now, we have had politics which is in constant campaigning mode. We never get to leave general election. Like you said, there is no general election. There may not even be a general election for a year and a half. And what are the Tories banging on about? Whether or not they'd do a deal with reform. No, it's not even relevant. It is not important right now.
By the way, if it comes to the crunch, they might not do a deal before the general election, but they'll certainly do it once the result is known, if it's close enough. And that could be too late by then. Also, in order to solve any problem, you must first undertake a root cause analysis, what caused the problem in the first place, and then be honest about it. Now, one of the biggest problems we've got in our country is the size of our state, which means the size of our welfare is ridiculous, which means illegal immigration is being ignored. And those three things combined lead us to the complete destruction of our own culture. If we cannot gather statistics on why that is so, like we will not with crime. So the Conservative and Labour Party consecutively have not taken any data on crime. Who is committing the crime? Is it disproportionately one demographic over another? Then you can start to tackle it. The reason they won't do that is because they believe in this equality of outcome, this homogeny that doesn't exist. Because if you said, oh no, it's just that group of people that are primarily doing this dastardly thing to your nation, then all of a sudden we'd have to admit it. And by the way, a lot of panel shows would cease to exist, because you can go onto any panel show in my political position and say, I believe that illegal immigration, Islamic young fighting age men have sexual cultural differences and are committing sexual aggressive crimes disproportionately, and the left wing on the other side can say, can you prove it? And other than the anecdotal, all the stories in all of the papers and the convictions, it's very difficult, because that's what they rely on. They'll say, well, that guy, there's a nuance to that crime. Oh, no, that's just lie.
That's
just
the right-wing press stirring up hate.
Oh, no, you're a racist. Because that... Although that's not really working much anymore, it still holds some weight. If you get called a racist on the BBC, you can have the debate shut down immediately. Whereas someone calls me a racist now, I immediately thank them and then go on and make my point even further. Because it doesn't make any difference. It makes no difference whatsoever if you think I'm racist. If my point is that stopping a demographic of men committing a disproportionate number of sexual crimes.
I just don't understand at all how we got to a situation where this is even a thing, because about 10, 20 years ago, the idea that a load of people from the Maghreb and the Middle East would demand to come and live in your country for free would just be like, no, you can't. Weird. And now it's like, well, that's what we do. This is how it has to work. I don't understand how we've drifted into that position. It's absolute madness. Right. We're going to take a short break now. 03444 991 is the number if you want to have a chat with Mozart and I. It's your normal network rate. You can use that as well to send us a WhatsApp or leave us a voice note on WhatsApp. 8722 is the number if you'd like to send a text instead. Write the word talk before you text. When we come back, we're going to be talking about more news. Going to be reading your views and maybe even talking to some of yous. Did you like that? Back after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
I'm angry.
You are angry. Let's talk about it. I'll put the
I'm going
glasses
to talk
back
about
on.
this because I've ordered my breakfast from Leon.
You ordered
right?
a salmon box from Leon, didn't you?
I've ordered a salmon box from Leon because I said I want salmon today.
What's in there?
No salmon.
Well, that's no good, is
I've
it?
just got a ton of spinach.
That
is a... I'm sorry,
That's
you're
a spinach
paying
box.
for the salmon. You ain't paying for the spinach.
Yeah, because the spinach is cheap, isn't it?
I'm
you
angry.
can get spinach in any Tesco now for £9 a box.
I don't even know how to complain. It's too complicated. I'm going to find out.
We're doing it on air now, basically.
Dear Leon, where's my salmon? Huh? Where is it? Rubbish.
Hopefully we'll get one of those messages. Alex, please tell me which branch of Leon you went to. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, at me. That Alex woman on X. Where's my salmon? Right. Let's talk about where's my hospitality? Because apparently MPs, they're just raking it in, aren't they? Someone's received Harry Styles tickets worth £858. Chelsea Flower Show tickets, £1,839. 3,432 quid's worth of hospitality at the Brit Awards. There's been over £400,000 of hospitality to concerts, sports matches and other events. Now, this sort of reminds me of 2024, you know, Lord Ali and Taylor Swift tickets. I don't know, if I'm honest, I don't really know how exercised I am by this story.
No, the thing to be exercised about is not the fact that they're taking the hospitality, it's the fact that they would criticise anybody else for doing so. It's the moralisation of politics. We've seen it from the left, and it's just carried on forever. And it's always the same people. The people that are most virulent in having a go at others for doing something are often doing it themselves. It's why you should hold every male feminist in suspicion, because the chances of them being wrong are much higher. Look, the only reason I would become a politician is for the freebies. The backhanders, the money I could make when I was out of office, the deals I could do, the skullduggery, the people I could take down, the police I could use in my favour. That would be my primary reason, which is why I don't go into politics, Alex.
I think the most staggering part of all of this, to me, is Chelsea Flower Show tickets worth £1,839. Who's paying almost £2,000 to go and look at some botanicals? Like, I don't
know why botanicals made me laugh
why?
so much. But
how much is this Chelsea Flower Show?
Yes, I've never been.
I mean, I think that's the sort of thing that should be free. You walk around the gardens, there's some nice planting, off you go. Why is it £1,839? Is it one ticket? Is it two? I want to know now.
Just go to the garden centre.
Just go down Dobbies. Problem solved.
Dobbies. Classic.
Yeah. Well, I've got a Dobbies membership card, me.
Have you? I do love a Dobbies. You've got to go around at Christmas when they first get the decorations out.
That's my favourite
in
time.
Early October.
Garden centres at Christmas are the way forward.
Oh, I love it. It makes
They
you feel
really
all
do.
lovely jubbly, doesn't it?
Let's talk about a rather tragic story here. It is sort of emerging breaking news from overnight, which is a fatal collision on the A66 near Middlesbrough. My understanding is there were 5 men, or boys, in a Volkswagen Passat, travelling in the wrong direction on the A66, armed. Police were in pursuit of this vehicle. They were worried about it, but then they stopped the pursuit, and it happened that at 3:36 in the morning, minutes before the crash, the car was being pursued by the police. It went the wrong way up the A66 and then smashed headfirst into another police vehicle, which was nothing to do with the pursuit, at around 3:40 in the morning. All 7 people were instantly killed, including the 2 armed police officers at Cleveland Police, a very small police force where everyone knows everyone. I've read today that the suspected assailant driving the vehicle has, for a while, been putting on TikTok, of course, blooming TikTok videos of sort of speeding along with police in hot pursuit. It's extremely tragic.
Yes, it's terrible. And by the way, without going into too much detail, a head-on collision like that to kill all 7 people involved, you have to be going considerably fast.
Yeah.
It has to be very, very dangerous. And what we forget when we see these stories, because it'll be passed over, and by Wednesday we'll be talking about the latest thing that Andy Burnham's talking about. But the police involved in this just set out that morning to look after us.
Yeah.
So in that area, all they did was put their uniform on to protect the people of that community, and instead they're having to deal with this now. They've lost their lives, and the catastrophic collateral damage of that is incomparable at this stage.
It's incredibly sad for the police force, incredibly sad for the family and friends of those killed officers, incredibly sad for the community at large. But it's nothing new, is it? I mean, I remember sort of growing up joyriding. I used to hear about joyriders all the time.
Joyride. Did you?
No, I did not. But joyriders and ram raids, I remember, were sort of peak crimes, 90s era crimes. But no, it's awful. And the police have apparently sent themselves off to the IOPC, the Independent Office for Police Conduct, who are investigating the circumstances of the crash. But it's understood the incident took place during the pursuit of a suspicious vehicle. So we will wait to learn more, but otherwise just pretty tragic. Let's do some messages before we go to break about the Sussex's security. That was hard.
It was.
If the state can pay for these 2 grifters, why can't it pay for the security of a sitting MP and leader of the most popular political party in the UK who's received multiple death threats?
Great question.
True. Illegal immigrants and their benefits. These criminals receive healthcare on demand. I'm retired. I paid tax for 45 years, never claimed benefits. I have a painful back and have been referred to an NHS pain clinic. The waiting time is 33 weeks.
That's incredible. And these... not with HMOs, of course, but they do have free access to the NHS. But many asylum hotels, illegal hotels, have an NHS representative either visiting daily or there in situ. So essentially you get the perfect situation, don't you? You get food, accommodation, healthcare, water, heating. They get 50... Because the argument always is, well, illegal immigrants don't get benefits. All of that's an incredibly expensive benefit, plus the £50 they get put onto one of those cards, so they can go out and do whatever they do with that 50 quid, I don't know. So the idea that they're not receiving a benefit for being in the UK is for the birds also. Well, the idea that, again, that we're not being honest about this, and that you and I are talking about this, and because we're on Talk and we're considered right-wing, that it's just a right-wing talking point, and we're trying to be divisive and divide the nation. That's not my objective. I know it's not yours too. My objective is to highlight this so we can see, so everybody can see what's been done with their money and in their name and against them, and that you have 300-odd MPs in Labour and however many elsewhere in the Lib Dems who are just turning a blind eye, just allowing this to happen.
Yeah.
Allowing this to happen. If you added up the cost of all of that, including the MP salaries and the expenses, what you gave to what you gave to G4S, what you gave to Serco, what you gave to the asylum sneakers, then you're going to end up with a massive, massive bill, and it's an absolute... It's a tragedy.
Oh, it's a farce. Absolute farce. Right, we're going to be taking another short break, but don't go anywhere, because we're going to be talking to you about Iranian hackers who managed to shut down an entire UK power plant. That's after this.
We have to stand up to the French. We have to be much tougher. We have to stop. I mean, it is the pull factor is huge, but even without the pull factor, there are going to be people who, you know, want to come across that bit of ocean and come to us. And I just think, once again, you know, we do a lot of talking about it, and Andy Burnham, every time he's interviewed, says, oh yes, but there's fewer boats coming. There may be fewer boats coming, but they're actually bigger boats and they're holding just as many people. I think the money we're giving to France is unbelievably big for what they're doing for us.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Alex Phillips. Oh, what a woman. And Foxy Coxy. I'll take 2, please. Giving it large portions on a Sunday.
Wow. That was really quite...
That was amazing. Do you think that's the woman who does the M&S voiceover?
Sounded like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
This isn't just any presenter. This is Alex Phillips.
Cox. I was going to like shorten my name from Phillips to Lips, and I was just like, oh my gosh, that sounds really dreadful. That is not going to be the name of our duo, because
Claire's not going to be
that belongs in Soho. That's not okay.
There probably is a group out there for that. But,
yeah,
it's not here in serious political debate.
Let's do viewer message, and then we're going to get into these Iranian hackers. Jason in Keswick has said, I'm a Reform voter after leaving the Tories because of their betrayal. But the Tories do have some impressive front bench members like Katie Lamb, Claire Coutinho and Laura Trott. Impressive, intelligent young women who can tap into the female centre-left vote more than Reform can. And that's a dangerous position for Nigel. I actually agree with that. Reform have some pretty great characters, like Layla Cunningham, who, I mean, she's sensational. She can really hold her own in any interview, in any debate. They've just started to allow Suella to do things. I don't know why they haven't been using her more.
Suella's great. I really like
Andrea
Suella.
Jenkins, we don't get much of Andrea, do we?
She's off writing music.
But you do tend to have, with Reform, constantly the men up front and constantly a very sort of machismo way of presenting things. And I'm not against that personally, but when you look at the polling, they do have to find a way to break through and appeal to females. They really have to. I think Nigel's cooling his heels. I think he's on a little break after all the by-election stuff
so
at
what
the
did
moment.
you make?
So
I mean, you
that's
might
what
have
he's
discussed this yesterday, and it's not really part of what we were talking about, so forgive me, but it's interesting, the Tim Montgomery fallout this week.
Yeah, I know Tim super well.
Because one of his criticisms was fairly constructive feedback to Nigel Farage about his ability to manage female journalists, or seemingly. I'm sure he can.
I think, look, on this one, I like Tim a lot. Tim is great, and I don't think Tim is some sort of traitor or anything like that. No. But at the same time, if you are in a political party, if you're a figure who's known to be related to the brand, and then you're criticising that brand in the papers, in interviews, you're damaging the brand. In the same way, if I sat here and said, oh, blimmin' heck, News UK are rubbish. Oh, the Times, what a rubbish newspaper. Oh, the Sun, who would buy that? Oh, do you know what? You know, such and such have to... Oh, the editor's got that wrong. I would probably be hauled into the offices and gone like, dude, what are you doing?
Yes.
The same with anybody. You know, and so I don't always understand when people... Yes, when you're in a political party, you always have frustrations with the way they do things. That's life. Because
he's tried to raise it. I don't know Tim. I've always admired Tim. He seems like a really nice guy, and everyone I know that knows him says that he is. His argument seems to be that, A, he's just a Reform member, and he's not a member of the hierarchy. But like you say, he's got a presence.
But he's a sort of brand, you know, he's a known person who goes into studios, comes here.
He said that but he said that he's tried to raise it internally and been... Although, you know what, we've all tried to do things internally, and then when we're not listened to, we don't really have the opportunity just to go public, I guess.
I just think I'm in politics, I'm increasingly fed up with everything I ever read in politics now. Is like, don't want to do a deal. There's faction fighting at the top. No one likes Zia Yusuf. Nigel got £5 million. Yeah, I'm just like, what about dealing with issues? What about policies? What about what we actually are going to vote on? What about, you know, getting solutions to our problems? And that's just so eclipsed now by the politicking that actual policy making and politics has gone. We may as well not have politics anymore. Let Whitehall just get on and run it without anyone being elected, because everyone elected just wastes time and energy mudslinging at one another.
The first party and leader to be very reductive and consolidate their views, their philosophy, and what's wrong with Britain and what they're going to do to fix it will win the race. Because at the moment, like I say, on the left, they've moralised everything, and that appeals to human nature. And at the moment, everyone's going, well, that's just the wonderful thing to do. As soon as someone's able just to continually stick to it, and arguably Nigel Farage is doing this, but continually stick to the mantra, say, this is what we're doing, this is the problem, and this is the evidence, we'll win the day, because ultimately logic will win out. And all the infighting does is help the opposition go, how can you trust that?
And actually what happens is it makes people go, I can't be bothered voting, they're all the same. And that is what is so depressing. And, you know, we live in this 24-hour news cycle, clickbait, sensationalism, everyone wants to be a celebrity, everyone wants their 5 minutes of fame, And that has superseded anything to do with people who just want to solve the nation's problems. We didn't get round to talking about Iranian hackers, so I'll have to do that after the next break. So I'd talk about Tim Montgomery, who perhaps might be an Iranian hacker. You never know. You know, this could be the next great story of the day. Tim Montgomery in his, you know, nerve centre, shutting down power plants. That's clearly why he was booted out of Reform, because, like, well, we don't really want hackers.
Tim Mohammed.
Tim the hacker. No, Tim is a great man, and well, let's just hope that things get resolved.
Oh, I hope so.
Everywhere. Kumbaya and all
Yes, I hope
politics.
everything gets resolved everywhere.
Everywhere. Just all problems are solved.
I just want love to win. I don't know about you.
I just want love to win as well. Right, we're going to be taking a short break now. 03444991000, the number if you want to call or WhatsApp. 8722, the number to send a text. Write the word talk before you text. Coming up after the break, in the next hour, we're going to be joined by Mike Wood, who's a shadow cabinet minister, to ask him about, well, probably politicking, and many more stories, including Iranian hackers, after this.
It is therefore my honour to declare that the duly elected leader of the Labour Party is Andy Burnham.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks so much. I believe in all of you, and I am confident we can do it. Thank you very much. I have just come from Buckingham Palace, where I have accepted His Majesty the King's invitation to form a government. I know people at home are fed up with politics. I hear you, and I want to be honest with you. We have not been good enough, and we need to be better. We will be.
This man has no mandate whatsoever. He didn't stand on the 2024 general election manifesto. You cannot make the biggest change in British politics in 40 years without a mandate from the British people, and it will be only decent, right and proper to call a general election on that issue and to do it now.
Our fifth Prime Minister in 4 years. Blimey. And, well, look, we want him to succeed. But will this one be any different? Andy Burnham, the new head honcho, the speed this all happened, I know this is a well-trodden debate already, is actually breathtaking. 1 minute he was Mayor of Greater Manchester. What, a month and a bit ago he wasn't even an MP. The next he's holding keys to number 10 without the country ever really having a chance to scrutinise him in a prospective prime ministerial nothing at all. We really know very little.
I think Burnham has to walk a fine line. I think that's probably what's going on, because if he were to sweep into Downing Street and say, I'm going to change everything, I'm going to fix everything, I'm going to do things completely differently to Starmer, then people would say, hold on, mate, we need a general election in that case, because no one voted for that. No one voted for you to be Prime Minister. You weren't standing in the 2024 general election. We've never seen your manifesto. Who the hell are you? That's what people would be asking.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk. Ian Collins, Afternoon Empire on Talk. Breaking news, your views.
Live on a Sunday, through the radio or on your TV. Alex Phillips with a superb auditor from the South Coast, Paul Cox.
Were you a superb auditor?
Is that, I don't know what he... Maybe, yeah. Orator, I think he was saying.
I think he said you're a superb auditor
Well, I could be
from
both.
the South Coast.
Imagine, I'm here just to audit the files.
Here we are.
With a superb auditor from the South Coast,
Are you hearing something?
Paul Cox.
Yeah, that you're a superb auditor.
Oh, right, sorry. I thought you could hear something, because I haven't got an earpiece in.
Oh, you don't have any... Things went funny when we came back in after that break. There were
be
trailers
fair-
about Ian Collins. There was graphics on the screen. There was a bit of me popping up, licking spinach out of my teeth. You being called a superb auditor. I feel like I'm in a fever dream. I'm not sure what's going on. Mozart's here.
Hello.
I just don't know. Do you know what I think might have happened in that moment?
What do you think?
I think the Iranians got to us.
I think they did.
I'm segueing to this story. We will. You keep trying not to talk about this
Well, they've asked,
story.
my
I don't
handlers
know
have asked
why.
me not to, you know.
The superb auditor from the South Coast. Mozart audits.
In D minor.
Audits indeed, Mike. Oh, gosh. Iran managed to shut down a British power plant for 4 days in a cyber attack. Apparently, it's the first time hackers affiliated to Iran have succeeded in closing down a facility. It's believed to be the most successful cyber attack of its kind. It took place at the same time as a series of attacks on US water infrastructure last month, which affected 12 states. British officials aren't saying which power plant was affected because, you know, security. But the facility was disabled for 4 days. Wow. This is the future of war. This is grey zone warfare. This is terrifying.
Yes.
And this is why those absolute nincompoop, numbskull nobodies in the government right now, who seem to trot over to Beijing every 5 seconds. And I know this is Iran, not Beijing, but they run over to Beijing every 5 seconds. Can we have your solar panels? Can we have your wind turbines? You know, can we build you a mega embassy over the quantum computing cable? No, because this is the future of war. You look at what's gone on in Iran. You look at the war in Ukraine, and a lot of war these days is less about just, you know, indiscriminately bombing civilians. It is often about taking out infrastructure. So Ukraine will be focusing its missiles on Iranian power plants. Russia's trying to take out, you know, Ukrainian gas fields. The Strait of Hormuz, it's the same. America's threatening Iran by saying we will bomb your oil fields. So when you have a situation where everything has become digitised, everything's online, and our enemies are able to actually close down a power station for 4 days, what else can they do when they infiltrate systems? I mean, I don't know. You should know this because it's your kind of jam, isn't it?
It is my jam.
You know, being an auditor from the South Coast who did electronics at Portsmouth and then went to work in old...
I worked in Secret Squirrel Land. I worked at DSTL.
What's the name of that
Portland
place?
Down.
Portland Down. That's, I forgot the name of it then. But this is the thing. It is... how much can they do? Like, can they enter into the brains of a nuclear power plant and Chernobyl it?
Yes, of course you can.
I don't know why that's the hand action for Chernobyl.
You know,
turn the volume up.
International sign of Chernobyl.
Chernobyling.
Look, we have been at war, a hybrid war, for a very long time. And unlike any other war, the enemy doesn't need to breach your borders to get in. In fact, they do breach your borders because the government allow them to do at a rate of 700 persons per day. However, you can breach someone's borders electronically very simply if you're the best in the world at doing that, and particularly if your enemies or those funding your enemies are producing all the technology to help you run your infrastructure. So the idea that you cozy up to China and go, we're going to buy everything from China, it would be like in 1939 buying everything from Germany. It's the equivalent of. The idea that we're not at war with anybody is also a misnomer. We are absolutely at war, and those funding it are all part of the same group. You know, Iran, China, all these people are in it for the same reasons. And unfortunately, we have a cohort in this country, particularly in left-wing politics, that want to bring about the end of the West as well. They're all in it. Look at the Green Party. It's a coalition of the enemies. You've got... I mean, I saw yesterday some fighting of trans people and Muslims somewhere. Don't know what that is. Don't know if that's a pay-per-view event. But this seems to be going on across the country. But, of course, politically they're aligned and they've got one common goal, and that's the destruction of the West.
Right, no, it's madness. It is madness. The world is madness these days. Let's see if Mike Wood can help us fix it. Mike Wood, MP, Shadow Cabinet Minister. Great to have you on the programme, Mike. Let's first of all talk about Kemi Badenoch, who has been up at the Edinburgh Festival. Because obviously that's the most important thing for an opposition leader to be doing. Speaking to her chum Ian Dale, saying that a Tory deal with reform would be monstrous. So does that mean, therefore, that given the polling, if it doesn't change, if there's a general election tomorrow, that you guys are more than happy to see a left-wing government?
We certainly don't want a left-wing government. We want a Conservative government, and that's why Kemi's job and my job is obviously to go out and explain to the British public why their lives would be better if we did have a Conservative government. We need as many Conservative MPs as we can. You don't go into an election talking about having a coalition afterwards.
But clearly, we know that once upon a time we had a two-party system. That has fractured into a spectrum of political parties. We have two big parties on the right, various sort of, you know, other stragglers who may or may not win a single seat. The left have been fractured for a long time, but the Labour Party... But you don't get this on the left, do you? There's not these games. There's not the faction fighting. You don't have the Labour Party saying, we'll never do a deal with the Lib Dems, we'll never do a deal with the Greens. In fact, what we've seen, for instance, in Gorton and Denton, Makerfield, is the left wing are incredibly good at scratching each other's backs for political convenience, whereas on the right wing, you guys are just obsessed with trying to take down reform.
No, I don't think that's true. And we're focusing most of our energies on being the official opposition and, of course, opposing the government, who are doing a lousy job, who are... Sorry, I've got a wasp flying around my head. Doing a lousy job, who are taking loads of measures that are making our country demonstrably weaker. I mean, that's our main focus. But the best way to end that is to elect a Conservative government at the next election. And you're right, we do need the centre right to consolidate. But I mean, it's strongly our view, of course, that that is best done behind Kemi Badenoch's plan to obviously get the economy back on his feet, to strengthen our borders and make sure that our country is stronger.
But here lies your difficulty, Mike. The difficulty is we were just talking about China in heavily involved in infrastructure in this country. Well, that was largely under David Cameron, George Osborne. We look at the massive illegal waves of people who came into this country from the Maghreb and the Middle East, who've been attacking women. A lot of that happened under Conservative watch. You did not stop the boats. In fact, so obsessed were you with Nigel Farage, you called a snap election when the Rwanda plan might have literally actually taken off. But no. You were more worried about reform and their growth than you were about dealing with that issue. Same with, oh, well, we've got to roll back all this net zero stuff. That was you. That was COP20, whatever it was. Boris Johnson, let's lead the world in self-flagellation. A lot of the problems that we're having today are problems with a lag time that were caused by the Conservative government's policy or by the Conservative government not doing anything because you just kept wanting to get Sir Graham Brady out of a cupboard to count envelopes. And the public haven't forgotten that yet.
Well, you talk about China. Of course, it was a Conservative government that removed Huawei from our key infrastructure that we that we legislated to bar companies like Huawei that could be a risk to our national security from key infrastructure. But of course, in 14 years in government, some mistakes were made. The important thing is, obviously, we needed to have learned from that, which we have, particularly on the issues around borders. We've seen what doesn't work. Sadly, Reform seemed to want to repeat a number of the mistakes that we tried when we were in government to try to tackle the border that we know don't work, whereas obviously what Kemi Badenoch's done with Lord Wolfson's fantastic report on the European Convention on Human Rights is the proper hard work that you need when you want to be when you want to offer an alternative government, setting out that detailed borders plan to actually make the difference and get this problem under control rather than get a quick headline.
Can you be more specific about what it is, the mistakes that you say Reform are repeating that you've learned from when it comes to securing borders? Can you... Well,
the idea that you can just tell the Navy to intercept small boats was something that Priti Patel tried. We had the Channel commander, and the response that came back from the Navy was it was impossible to do in most cases without putting lives at risk. It was therefore an unlawful order, and they couldn't obey it.
But what Reform are saying that they will do is send boats back to France, and there's a very good relationship between the gentleman who might become the next Prime Minister of France, who has also said publicly he would take the boats back.
Well, clearly, that's not the French government's position at the moment, and Reform have got no answer at all as to what they will do if the French will not take boats back,
Is Kemi Badenoch mates with Marine Le Pen? They having conversations?
Well, the important thing, obviously, in the Conservative plan is making sure that within a week of people arriving here illegally, that they are removed from the UK, either to the country that they originally came from or to a safe third country, that there's no possibility of an asylum claim in the UK, there's no immigration tribunal in the UK, they will not remain in the United Kingdom.
So why, after you had a 80-seat majority, you had 15 years in government? I remember back in 2014 when Theresa May was Home Secretary talking about leaving the ECHR, getting rid of the Human Rights Act, coming up with a British Bill of Rights. I've heard all of it. I've heard it. And you had ample opportunity to do it, but you didn't. Why? That's what the public want to know. Why should we believe you this time round when you said it repeatedly for over a decade now? You've said it. You were in a position to do it and you did not. So why on earth should we suddenly think, when you're saying again, this is what we're going to do, that you would deliver on that?
And obviously what we had at the time was those Section 39 appeals from the European Court, and this is where Lord Wolfson's report is quite clear, not only on illegal migration, but also on a host of other issues, including persecution of Northern Ireland veterans. We simply can't take the decisions we need in Britain's interest whilst we're in the European Convention, and that's why we've got a clear plan to leave and how we will do that, because that will be necessary. Of course, we legislated in the previous government with several different pieces of legislation to allow schemes like Rwanda to go ahead, and they hit issues with the courts both in the UK and in Strasbourg. Whereas obviously we've got the plan as to how we navigate that, and step one of that has to be leaving the European Convention, and I'm pleased that Kemi has had the courage to say so.
It doesn't take courage to say so. 1,000 people before her have said it. People have been banging on about this ever since Abu Hamza and, people like that. It's been a hot topic of discussion for a very long time. The Conservative Party had fights amongst themselves over this topic. Are you not going to do that again? Is everyone on board with this in the Conservative Party?
They absolutely are, and as Kemi has been clear, if you don't want to sign up to this policy, then don't think you're going to be a Conservative candidate at the next election. This is obviously a core policy that anyone who wants to be considered as a Conservative candidate has to sign up to, because it's essential that we deliver this for the British public in order to strengthen our borders and actually deliver a fair system that's fair for British taxpayers as well.
Let me ask you a question. If a general election happens in the autumn, say Andy Burnham comes back from recess and after conference season, or announces at conference, I'm going to call an election, looks at the polling and thinks now is the sweet spot to do it, to give myself more years. And the polling stays relatively similar to how it is now, or perhaps Reform have a boost, Conservatives go down. And you look at Reform's manifesto and you think, to be honest, it's really similar to our own. Ideologically, we're sort of, you couldn't put a fag paper between us right now. Would your party, for the sake of the country, concede and say, look, come on, we actually can't win this. We're going to basically be handing 5 more years to a socialist government. The country can't afford to do that. So the good thing to do is put the nation and its future at the heart of our decision-making. Therefore, we will step to one side. Or is your party more important?
Reforms simply don't have the thought-through plans that you need to form a government. They're very good, again, the quick headline to distract attention from whatever problems Nigel Farage is having that day, but they do not have either the in-depth team nor the in-depth plan to form government.
It's funny, because I've been reading how they've got a big policy department. They've just got some wonk from the Adam Smith Institute, who's supposed to be one of the best economists of them all. They're sitting there writing, they're doing press conferences all the time, announcing what they're up to. As far as I can tell, you know, like I said, you could white label the manifestos and policy programmes of the Conservatives and Reform right now, shuffle it up, and you wouldn't know whose was whose. And I'm sitting here going, the country is at the 11th hour. What is more important, the nation's future or the future of the Conservative Party?
We obviously believe that the nation will be better served with a Conservative government. We'll be making that argument to the British people whenever the election comes. We'll be campaigning to get as many Conservative MPs elected as we can, because we think that will be better for the country. You talk about Reform's policy team, but look what we've seen from it so far. A border plan that exploded on its first contact with scrutiny, welfare plan where the sums don't seem to add up beyond taking away everybody's personal independence payments regardless of their circumstances, and the rest of the time Reform seem more interested in fighting amongst themselves. Okay, now we've seen this play, we don't want to be part of it.
Well, we've seen that play, fighting amongst themselves. You guys invented that sport. Mike, thank you ever so much for joining us. Mike Wood, MP, Shadow Cabinet Minister. why can't politicians just say, do you know what, when push comes to shove, if we realise we couldn't win an election, we will all club together? The left wing do that. What is wrong with people on the right that they can't do? I'm not saying, I would hope it goes the other way around. And frankly speaking, Nigel Farage got it in the neck in 2019 when he did stand down everybody in the Brexit party, bar a few. He did that. He made that call. And I just don't understand the psychology of politicians who, it's a theoretical thing, it's hypothetical. No one's saying this is what we're going to do, but in the 11th hour, if, you know, it would make sense to concede in certain seats or not, would you do it? Why can't they just say the country's too important, the situation we're in is too critical? Because, like I said, Farage made that call in 2019. And I'm not picking this side over that side. I just want all politicians to forget about their blimmin' colour of rosette for 1 second and put us first.
Yeah, I was absolutely pulling my hair out. Mike Wood there.
Your Mozart hair.
Yeah, bloody hell. Pulling out my beautiful Mozart hair. Mike Wood there personified, for me, what is absolutely wrong with politics and politicians right now. Mike Wood is quite obviously someone who is partisan towards the Conservative Party.
Well, he's a Conservative, so
Yeah.
that would make sense.
But because of that, he's unable to identify the enemy. If you're going to war, and we're at war, internally and externally, then you need to be able to identify the enemy. And you need to be agreed that you're going to defeat that enemy. You're not going to defeat that enemy on your own. You need to collaborate and coalesce. What Mike Wood is doing there is just the same old nonsense that's keeping us in this quagmire. Unless someone like Mike Wood just admits that what's working, what went before never worked, then we're never, ever, ever going to get anywhere. And if I was on the left now as a policymaker or a spin doctor, I'd be looking at that Mike Wood entry and thinking, this is easy pickings.
Yeah, I'd be looking at...
More Mike Woods, please.
Also, you know, Kerry Badenoch running around Edinburgh Fringe talking about not doing deals with reform. Do something more productive, please, Kemi. You know, that doesn't impress me much. That doesn't look like anything that's going to solve our nation's problems. That looks like grandstanding and gallivanting.
She's gone to the biggest art festival in the world, where the mere mention of Nigel Farage will get you a boo. If you're on stage and you're failing on stage and you want to get everybody on board,
you
just
must have
mention
done
Nigel.
Edinburgh.
I've done Edinburgh several times, yeah.
What's it like? I've never been.
I mean, I think now it's just a woke fest. But then the arts is. The arts absolutely is. Kerry Badenoch is deliberately saying that at that location because she's trying to garner an extra bit of support from those who are a little bit confused about what's going on, while they keep voting towards the left and they keep seeing the same problems. So she's saying to them, well, I don't like Nigel Farage either. What they need to be doing is saying, we collectively on the right understand the issue and collectively we're going to come together and solve it. We'd love to do it on our own, but the problem is so big now, we can't do it alone.
It's a bit like when Andy Burnham said, what was the situation? I can't remember the topic. He said it was adult social care. And he said, this issue is so big, it's so important. We've got an ageing population, you know, we've got blockages in hospitals. This issue is so overwhelming that I will sit down with all the parties to discuss what can be done, apart from reform. And you just think, this is why the UK is a mess. This is why. It's that stupid attitude. And I would call it out from Badenoch, I'd call it out from Burnham, I'd call it out from Yusuf or Farage or anyone in reform who also thinks what's more important is us, the band, the party. It's got to be turquoise, it's got to be dark blue, it's got to be... I'll call it out on any politician who thinks that it's a game of, you know, like Everton versus Liverpool. It's not.
No.
This is real world, and we're in a mess.
Yeah, they want to win. It's the Meghan Markle syndrome, isn't it? Doesn't matter what your goal is, you just have to win. If it's destroying the UK's royal family, then so be it. She has to win. And I'm sorry to pick on Mike Wood. He just happens to be the latest spokesperson that I've listened to from the Tory party. But he's got a Meghan Markle syndrome. Kerry Badenoch's got Meghan Markle syndrome.
Meghan Markle.
Yeah, she's delicious.
Meghan Mozart.
They just want to win, no matter who the victim of that winning is, as long as they win.
It's just tedious and tiresome, isn't it? Right, we're going to be taking a short break. We'd love to chat with some of you. 0344 499 1000 is the number to call. We've got lots of messages to read out as well. But if you want to add yours to the litany, 8722 is the number for text, like the word talk, before you write your message. Or you can send a WhatsApp, a ditty, a tune, a rap, a limerick, a haiku, or just an opinion on audio on WhatsApp, as well as type it out on WhatsApp on 0344 499 1000. Back after this.
We have to stand up to the French. We have to be much tougher. We have to stop. I mean, it is the pull factor is huge, but even without the pull factor, there are going to be people who, you know, want to come across that bit of ocean and come to us. And I just think, once again, you know, we do a lot of talking about it, and Andy Burnham, every time he's interviewed, says, oh yes, but there's fewer boats coming. There may be fewer boats coming, but they're actually bigger boats and they're holding just as many people. I think the money we're giving to France is unbelievably big for what they're doing for us.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
I say, what a lovely day for listening to Alex Phillips and that, comedian bloke, Paul Cox. Funny, apparently.
Apparently.
The auditor.
Yeah, the auditor.
I was like, hello, and this, with Tech Up, you just don't know if he's got something up his sleeve or not, do you?
Well, that's why we ask him to wear T-shirts now.
Also, I feel like I'm living so dangerously at the moment. I mean, I'm doing probably the most dangerous thing someone presenting can do.
You got your Popeye juice?
Which is I've just eaten a box of spinach and I'm drinking a glass of spinach. And then I'm coming back and it's like, how's my teeth?
They're
Are
great.
they green? Are they all right?
They're really great.
Have I got bits?
No, there's no bits in your teeth.
If I do that, I sound like Keir Starmer.
You do.
That's the official rule.
Do you
You
remember
want to
Keir
sound like
Starmer?
Starmer, you just don't. You don't open your teeth when you talk. And this is such a weird thing about UK politics. You just go, yeah, do you remember him?
Yeah, it's
Where's he
mental.
gone? Like, where's Sunak? Sometimes I sit there and I wonder where Rishi is and what he's doing.
Wasn't he an MP after his Prime Minister for a little bit?
Yeah, I think he is
Sunak?
still. No, but isn't he still the MP for Richmond? I think he's still floating around. I think he's still.
Hats off to him. He's obviously just getting on with his work.
But this is what I mean. That the game of what are you doing now? Where's Boris?
Sorry, I thought that was a direct question to me. Now, what do you mean? What we're doing?
What's Boris up to? Oh,
well, we know what he's doing.
What is he doing?
He's got 12 kids to look after.
Yeah. I saw videos of Carrie Johnson on some pink unicorn toy, like on a video on Instagram, riding it around her house while Boris Johnson was singing Pink Pony Club, and I was like, fever dream.
Yeah, again.
Weird.
Again, it's just... That guy was in charge during COVID.
I quite liked those days. They actually felt better than now.
Yeah.
They did.
It's mad. The thing, I don't know if we've come up with a collective term for it yet, but this kind of inertia that's come from just endless tragedy after tragedy after tragedy for this country, that we've now just acclimatised to it. And you can have COVID, and you can have Keir Starmer, and you can have all these things in such a small space of time, and we're all like, oh, what's next? Please, Daddy, give us some more.
It's just, I was saying this the other day, that there is a real sort of sense of a morose melancholy that hangs over in a miasmic mist over our sad
That's like my
land.
aftershave.
Miasmic mist, Mozart's miasmic mist. Miasmic mix by Mozart. In fact, that's what we need. We need our M&S voiceover lady who left that brilliant jingle to do your special, your aftershave advert. Miasmic
by
mist.
Politique.
Politique.
Phillips. Oh, what a woman. And Foxy Coxy. I'll take two, please. giving it large portions on a Sunday.
See, Miasmic Mist
Miasmic.
by Mozart.
Yeah.
Or introducing our new fragrance for winter, Politique.
All right, lover.
Oi, lover.
Was that all it was? That was the best one. Oh,
All right, lover.
All right.
Cultural
It's like,
appropriation.
honestly, it's like being Pavlov's dog. I instantly do, oi,
Oi.
oi.
Just
Yeah, I'm
go
back in
straight
there. I'm
into
like,
it,
who's
yeah.
that? Thought that was my next door neighbour, Dean, then. I was like, wait. Oh, no, just a voice note. Let us talk about... I feel like at the moment we live in such a sexually offensive world. I've been saying this for ages, the pornification of society. I'd love to make a documentary on it because it's a subject that we're just not covering enough. So not only do we have all the illegal migrants coming in, looking at porn on their phones, thinking they want to come to Britain because women look like that and will do that. We also have the sort of whole weird manosphere thing going on, the Andrew Tate-ification of society. We also have, you know, having to hand out the rape pamphlets to the illegals. We also have releasing sex offenders early, so they're just roaming the streets. Now they're going to have tags so they can't go and, you know, sexually abuse the person that they sexually abused before. Guess what? If they're a sexually aggressive predator, they'll probably just go after someone else in that locale. Now we've got thousands of sex offenders in England and Wales could get libido-suppressing drugs. Is that like the good old iodine in the water? It's a pilot programme, the Medication to Manage Problematic Sexual Arousal Treatments Pathway, MMPSA, will be expanded from 10 to 20 prisons. It's meant to target sex offenders who experience intrusive, persistent and intense sexual thoughts, persistent arousal and unhealthy sexual urges and sexual behaviours. Prisoners can be offered drugs, including selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, SSRIs, which basically are antidepressants, which limit invasive sexual thoughts. And in some cases, apparently, it can reduce testosterone as well. Look, I thought these things were already being rolled out. I thought they were already generally being used. And I thought we were talking about chemical castration too at one point. Is that what that is? I don't know.
Maybe. Are they talking about paedophiles or are they talking about just sexual predators
I guess it's a mixture, really, because there might be people who are just extremely sexually aggressive and predatory.
They're
and then you've also got
underestimating
paedophiles.
why people are sexual predators as well. It's not just a sexual urge. It's about power. It's a psychological issue. You can take away one component of that, but they'll still have an urge to empower themselves over women or whoever their victim are. The best thing to do is if you know a load are coming on a boat, turn it around or don't let it come. There you go. Politique. Completed. And then just start looking at your homegrown weirdos. But
I think one of the biggest problems we've got as society, let's get philosophical here. Let's get Phillips-osophical. By the way, whoever made that cup of tea needs a medal. That is was that you, Ratty? That is a good brew. Perfect ratios, colour, dairy to tannins, absolutely on point.
Dairy to tannins.
Dairy to tannins. The equilibrium in that tea.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you've done today, Ratty. I love you, but come on now. Right, OK, but let's talk about this issue, because there's been a marked change. Let's take it to peak civilization 90s. To today. And I think something's coming down the other side now. But in the 90s, when the Spice Girls became a thing, I remember people going, oh, my gosh, look at how short their skirts are. Ooh, it's a bit risque. You know, all these sort of sexy women with their push-up bras and their little mini-skirts and their leopard print, you know, and their platform boots. And people are like, oh, my God, what are you teaching the girls of today? Well, the Spice Girls now are like Bratz dolls. Do you know what I mean? It's just so harmless. Then we went through this phase. I remember watching a video online of, like, a music video of Megan Thee Stallion and that other one, Nicki Minaj. I've never seen anything like it. Then at the same time, there's this Rihanna video, and it was pornography, absolute pornography. Then we're now going through this Kardashian era where little girls, everyone's getting butt implants, boob implants, lip implants, pornography's everywhere. And instead of saying to kids at school, maybe we shouldn't have 8-year-olds watching porn, they're like, oh, we should teach them what real sex looks like. That's like saying we shouldn't have kids smoking at the age of 8, but if they're going to do it, we may as well tell them that, you know, a menthol cigarette is better than, you know, Benson and Hedges. We have become so hypersexualised as a society, and everyone's sitting there going, why is the birth rate crashed? Why aren't couples staying together? Well, I'll tell you for why. There is no social shame anymore in, you know, just sort of doing whatever you want with who you want. There's no encouragement to actually have a nuclear family and have children. There's nothing in place like creches in workplaces. All we have, day after day, night after night, is just video after video after video after video of extremely egregious adult content. I know I'm a modern-day Mary Whitehouse, whatever she was called, but it is a massive societal problem.
Yes, and we haven't discussed enough what the impact of that has been, because we do everything through the prism of perceived freedom. But freedom comes from truth, as Orwell wrote. You know, freedom is the freedom to say 2 + 2 = 4, and we don't do that enough, because the truth is whatever helps the equality of outcome. So you should have whatever you want whenever you want it, because that's what humans should have.
The instant gratification is not desirable. This is why we have a mentally ill, depressed society, because dopamine is supposed to work on a rewards basis on 2 accounts. Number one, you know, you're climbing up the top of the mountain, it's absolutely knackering. Ugh. You get to the top and suddenly you get a rush of dopamine, and that is biological. The function is there to make sure you do something challenging, because you then feel reward. And the other one is because we're a social species and we need each other. You know, leave a human by itself in the Amazon rainforest, will die. You know, work as part of a tribe. Hey, build things and, like, shoot arrows at monkeys out of hollow plant tubes or whatever. And the other dopamine response is being with other people and working with other people. Both of those things have been stripped away. People now get dopamine from very short videos online. Oh, a cat playing a piano, rush. Or, oh, a woman doing, you know, explicit things, rush. Oh, I've just managed to troll someone on the internet, rush. Oh, Elon Musk has retweeted me, rush. But there's been no exercise in working hard to get that. And also, we're being siloed off, working from home, under slankers, in echo chambers. And this is why, as an entire society, we are ill. We're not procreating, we're not forming family units, we don't want to work, we don't have jobs, we're miserable. It's because of constant instant gratification.
Yep, the art of delayed gratification is dead, because everybody's been told that they can have what they want when they want, and not just that, that it's morally right that they should, that everybody should have exactly what they want when they want it. It's why you end up with Stella Creasy 1 minute saying, we need to have a summer of sex, followed by,
That wasn't Stella Creasy, was it?
Not Stella
the other
Creasy,
one.
that was Samantha Niblet. Samantha Niblet. And
great name for someone, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And then the same minute, she can't identify which gender is having the sex, because, you know, she gets ever so upset about the Supreme Court ruling, because in 2026, we need a Supreme Court to tell us that a boy has a willy and a girl doesn't.
Oh, it's grotesque. Should we speak to a caller on this?
Yeah, let's get involved.
Because Dan in Liverpool wants to talk on this subject, which is great. Hello, Dan.
Hi, hello there, Alex. I hope you're having a lovely day.
I am, because I've got my Beza Mozart with me. All is well.
Hello, Dan.
Always a better day. Now, I do want to talk about maybe the over-sexualisation of our society. I know you were sort of talking about the Spice Girls earlier. I didn't catch the entire segment. I do apologise.
Yeah, no problem.
I want your opinion. Like, do you believe we have become overly sexualised as a nation? I know porn is a big issue and it's something that's close to your heart. I myself, I'm not even going to deny I'm a massive porn lover, but I do it in a somewhat respectful way, which does sound a bit ironic, because I know porn does objectify women, and it's almost like a fantasy, like a novelty book when we're reading it, and we have to understand that's not reality. It's almost a storyteller we embrace.
Right. This is an interesting topic to be having a conversation directly with someone who said, I love a bit of porn at 11:30 on a Sunday morning. Well, you know, if I wasn't sitting in this studio, I'd be sitting on a church pew. But let's tackle this head on, because let me explain something to you, Dan. And I'm going to do it from a sort of biochemical point of view here with pornography. So the thing is, when you have lots of little videos and thumbnails on a screen and someone's watching something, then they flick to the next and they flick to the next and they flick to the next, or it's showing images that just don't corresponds to reality, that the women aren't the sort of women that you would meet naturally, and they're not doing the sort of things that normal women choose to do, and you keep changing the subject of the video. You don't just have one video that you watch day in, day out, day in, day out. What this is doing neurologically in your brain is connecting your reward system to a level of variety that is completely unachievable in real life. You therefore need to have an excess level of stimulation to achieve your end goal, which means then when in real life you want to actually have a physical relationship with a real life woman, oftentimes you're unable to. The rate of ED, erectile dysfunction, in men under the age of 40 used to be in single percentiles. It is now 1/3. That is a statistical truth. The amount that pornography is cited in divorce cases is a statistical proof. Pornography as well is one of the industries where there is more abuse than you could imagine. There was a situation a number of years ago where a woman had been raped. The video of her rape was posted on Pornhub and kept being reposted and was behind a paywall, so people were paying to see it. She took Visa to court because Visa was the payment platform. Visa were horrified and said to Pornhub, OK, we need to do an audit of your content. We need to know who the people are in the videos and the things that they're doing. Anything that looks like this has to be taken down. Do you know how many had to be taken down? 88%. Pornography, especially user-generated pornography, is industrialised rape, sexual abuse, sexual assault that's making men anxious, that's destroying marriages and human relationships, that is causing actual biological consequences like depression, social anxiety and erectile dysfunction. That is my little proselytisation on pornography. What I'd recommend is if you're going to indulge in it, go 90s style, adult video, DVD, enjoy yourself. Dan? Got a break now. Thank you very much, my love. Didn't expect to be doing that at this hour. We've got to go to break because we're joined by Philip Kisserly just after this, who's been already waiting.
He always comes on after ridiculous things.
And he'll already have his bits ready for this. He's got his lines ready for this.
Philip will not have his bits ready.
In a conversation like that, using the word he's always going to have his bits ready, it's just not ideal. I meant like a bit as in a skit. Oh, shut up. I'm digging myself a hole. Also not a great word. Let's go to break.
We have to stand up to the French. We have to be much tougher. We have to stop. I mean, it is the pull factor is huge, but even without the pull factor, there are going to be people who, want to come across that bit of ocean and come to us. And I just think, once again, we do a lot of talking about it, and Andy Burnham, every time he's interviewed, says, oh yes, but there's fewer boats coming. There may be fewer boats coming, but they're actually bigger boats and they're holding just as many people. I think the money we're giving to France is unbelievably big for what they're doing for us.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Alex Phillips, Paul Cox, dog's spherical objects, isn't it?
Dog's spherical objects in it. That is, I'm going to nick that. That is one of my favourite expressions.
Spherical objects
of all time.
All right, lover.
All right, lover.
All right, lover.
That
all
is.
right, lover.
All right. The problem is I can't not reply to that. It's sort of like inbuilt.
Yeah,
It's like a knee-jerk mechanism when you're from the West Country. You hear, all right, lover, all right. Straight away. Let's get Philip Kisely on. You've been waiting for a long time, Philip. And I love the fact that we were talking in the run-up to having you on about how bad instant gratification is. We're just doing that in real life, in real time right now. But you can be gratified. You can get your soapbox. You can opine. You can enjoy a sense of catharsis. But what are we going to opine about? Because I have a feeling what we were talking about just before the break would be right up your Strasse. Maybe not in the same way as Dan
This is just
from
innuendo
Liverpool.
city now.
But yeah, I think it is a problem. I genuinely think the hypersexualisation of society is something that we're not talking about, and somebody at some point really needs to get on top of that.
Indeed. Hi both. It's great to see you, and it was nice that you were talking about my bits before I came on. Yeah, I think pornography keeps people stupid, doesn't it? It keeps them in their place. Their brains are turned to custard while they're joylessly interfering with themselves. All of that kind of thing. It just feels as though it's a proxy for other things. It's a mark of failure. If you're indulging in, like the gentleman caller, indulging in pornography, night and day, maybe you should be using that time to better advantage. Maybe you should try to be a good father. Maybe you should try to be a good husband. Maybe you should do other things which aren't designed to keep you stupid, aren't addictive, and all the rest of it. It feels, it feels like all of this is tied to ambition and the lack of it in a way, because I think it is that important. I think it is an epidemic, and I think there's an epidemic of depression, real depression, anxiety, and a feeling of nothingness in many men, and that coupled with the insane, horrible abuse that the pornography industry represents, and in all sorts of ways. It's not just about misogyny and women, it's also about class as well, I think, and it's about using women and particular kinds of women, and finding a fantasy sphere in which allegedly that's okay. I think, as the previous caller was about to try and make out, all of this stuff really needs tackling, because we do have a crisis in masculinity, don't we? Men don't know what they're here for, what they're supposed to do. You were talking about the nuclear family. You were talking, all this thing about being, what does it mean to be a partner and a husband? What does it mean to be a father? Those things are really important, and they've been denigrated throughout the last few decades. You talked about the 90s as a kind of high point. I think that's right. Soon as identity politics kicks in at the turn of the new century, things go from bad to worse, and this, technology plays its part where we all live in these little silos. We're all stuck at home. Lockdown, people come out of lockdown. Lots of men come out of lockdown thinking they're women because they've been locked down with pornography, and it's addled their brains. You were talking quite rightly, Alex. I mean, I don't want to, lecture about this, but you were talking quite rightly about how it rewires the brain. So I think if you're talking about, I think it's a few things, right? I think it's pornography. Weed is another big issue. If you walk past any block of flats in any city centre, you're engulfed in a fog of weed, and the idea of spending all your time computer gaming, that's another one. They're all proxies. The computer gaming is a proxy, isn't it, for ambition? Weed is a proxy for having a good time, and pornography is a proxy for relationships, and it's all poisonous, it's all wrong. There you go. Aren't things
There you
great?
go. I think you summed it up very, very well. Let's talk politics now, because I'm just fed up with politics in this day and age. I feel like nobody is sitting there actually trying to tackle head-on the issues in this country. The media are obsessed with plots, coups, deals, no deals, polling. We're in constant campaign mode around the clock. And, you know, we've now got a story in the newspaper. Here we go. Andy Burnham, apparently... could have breached Commons rules by, get this, not declaring hospitality worth thousands of pounds in the 12 months before being elected. There it is. There it is. Because, OK, so Nigel Farage didn't declare a 5 million. That's a far bigger thing than the weird 6,600 party that was thrown in his honour in Osaka. Although, to me, that is weirder. Why is someone in Japan going, oh, yeah, Greater Manchester Men needs to have a special party in his honour over in Osaka? Really? But the crime here isn't the sum of money. It's not the party in Osaka. It's the not declaring of it, which, in my mind, puts this at exactly the same rank of offence as is being levied at Nigel Farage. And yet you just know, don't you, that this is not going to go anywhere, that it's probably going to be... The standards watchdog would just say, yeah, nothing to see here. He was just, you know, enjoying his time with some geishas or something, I don't know. But this stuff is... It is this constant trying to find scandal, trying to find sleaze. Again, a story today saying there's over £440,000 worth of hospitality that's been declared by MPs from the world's most expensive flower show, apparently. Why that's over £1,000 a ticket, I don't know. To going to the Ivor Awards. And I'm not exercised by it. I don't care. I don't care.
That's the key thing, and I think the key thing here is that they're playing politics rather than doing politics.
Right.
Desperately need our politicians to do politics and think about the big issues rather than scoring off each other. And it is pretty much one way. It's always the Labour Party trying to score off reform. It used to be the Labour Party scoring off the Tories, but that isn't the case anymore now, because reform are the big threat, and it's hypocrisy. It's what socialism always turns out to be. Meanwhile, the great big issues, you know, there is a sexual war on women on the streets of this country. We have porous borders. We're in incredible debt, you know, which is going to, it's going to turn into a financial meltdown. I think we are going to have a recession. It is on the horizon. And when that happens, the other things, the cultural issues, the societal issues will become massive, because when people can't afford to pay their mortgages, pay their rent, feed their children, they panic, and we will see civil unrest because of that. I think one of the things you said a while ago really hit home with me. We have a mayor of Britain.
Yeah.
Right. Do you remember saying that? Yeah, we don't have... He's not
a Prime Minister.
A Prime Minister, because he's focusing on £2 bus fares. He's messing around with imagery around, you know, Greg's pasties, all of that kind of thing. He will not deal with
He's a ribbon cutter. That's all he is. He's a ribbon cutter. He doesn't know how to do anything else. But the other problem is he actually does have some big sweeping plans for this nation.
Yeah,
but in typical legacy media style, nobody's cross-examining them. No one's... I mean, I've just written down 3 here that are going to be disastrous for this country. Number 1, his crazy devolution plans. I mean, the Labour Party had already started this with turning things into, you know, different authorities. They wanted to cancel the elections. The sheer cost of that is enormous. But when you start wanting to have mayors and offices of mayors with all these powers, possibly tax-raising powers, all the apparatchiks, the pen pushers, the extra bureaucracy, it comes with an enormous price tag. It is basically taking work out of the private sector and making all jobs taxpayer-funded until we're all Winston Smith. Same with the renationalisation plans. It's about 150 billion just to get Thames Water back. And then it's going to be shareholders in China and, you know, dodgy countries as part of our critical infrastructure. It cannot be afforded. The Labour Party just want to make more and more things under the umbrella of the state, statify everything, and it's simply bankrupting. And then, on top of this, it's all like, oh, well, let's end homelessness. Again, that's kind of ribbon cuttery. They've decriminalised homelessness, and then now they want to end homelessness. Do you know what that's going to equal? Because you do. Tent cities. That is the exact recipe to turn street after street, park after park, grass verge after grass verge into some horrible, atrophying, rough-sleeping hellhole. Because if you turn around and say, right, we're going to decriminalise sleeping on the streets, that sounds nice, doesn't it? And on top of it, we're going to end homelessness. All you need to do is come to Britain, sleep in a tent, and you'll be given a house. It is a conveyor belt for extra welfareism. Just madness. And every time Burnham rolls out one of these mega policies, because to me these are mega policies, I don't want all these mayors. I hate devolution. Personally, I'd get rid of that Senedd, I'd get rid of Holyrood, I'd get rid of... That one in Northern Ireland didn't even have anyone in it for a year and a half and nothing fell apart. Stormont. You know, basically, the size of the state now is like a massive sort of, you know, gross dirt and mud encrusted pair of jeans where you don't even need the legs inside for the things to stay upright. You could have just nobody in the Commons and it would just happily run itself into the ground. And this idea that we need more politicians, more political staff, more political pensions and pen pushers is preposterous.
Absolutely, and none of it is thought through. Okay, the best example of this is the fact that he wants to turn Britain into one great national council estate. Okay, and if you think about councils in this country, they haven't built council houses in any numbers since the 1970s. So they don't know what they're doing. And we know from history, recent history, post-war history, that building very, very quickly, very, very cheaply on massive scale is catastrophic, because what it's ill thought out and it results in antisocial behaviour. It has to be pulled down again and we have to start again, and more than that, it costs an absolute fortune. So we're looking again with devolution. This is going to open the door for councils just to say, oh right, well, you're going to have a massive council estate right here, right on my doorstep here. You're going to have a massive council estate on your doorstep, and nobody's going to do anything about it because these great big regional mayors will just give it the green light and everybody will be powerless. So this is what it's about, really. It's authoritarian. But you mentioned 1984 before. It's ill thought through authoritarian, and it's aggressive, and that is what I'm really so concerned about, because he has this kind of apologetic around the, oh, you know, we want to do the best for everybody. It's great, isn't it? You know, all of that kind of thing, and it really isn't. It's really dangerous for us, because all of the stuff that I talked about before, recession, financial meltdown, massive cultural and societal issues, that is just going to be put on steroids if lots and lots of people, not only do we get asylum seekers that we don't want because we're supposed to take, quote, our fair share, but we're going to get council estates all over the place which are badly thought out. Now, I'm not against social housing. I am absolutely not. We need more housing, but it needs to be thought through. And this is a classic example of how he isn't thinking through anything.
I feel we're about 2 seconds away from having collective farms, quite frankly. Philip, thank you ever so much. Always a delight to catch up with you, Mr. Kisley. Let's do a quick call before we go to the top of the hour break. This is Peter in London. Good morning, Peter.
Hello, Alex and Dr. Cox.
Dr. Cox, the auditor.
The auditor.
Well, yeah, basically, I've spoken to Nigel years ago when, I was going to say Theresa May, but she was an absolute traitor, May. When she went to Florence in Italy, I think it was in 2017. But she was a lying thief, and she can sue me if she likes.
She'll be suing you. She'll be suing News UK, my friend, so be careful. She's not here to defend herself, but carry on.
Are now Labour, or as I call them, Labour government, thieves and liars, are stealing your money, and they're giving it to other countries, for example, in their foreign aid. And that, if you thought about it, and if everyone in the country thought about it, you'd think that's money laundering fraud. They do that.
The foreign aid question is interesting, right? I've always been of the position that foreign aid can be used very sensibly as a sort of diplomatic process, if it's spent in the correct way. And what I think is...
No, you're misunderstanding.
Right.
Well, I think there are 3 countries, approximately, you know, fully check this out, but I think there are about approximately 3 countries in the world that do not have their own currencies from their own national, central or Federal Reserve banks.
Right.
And our country, for example, has been, on the first day that our current Prime Minister, Thief-in-Chief, was supposedly elected to be Prime Minister.
Yeah.
On his very first day in Downing Street, who was lurking, suddenly safely...
Who was lurking? So we're going to a break now, so you... You've got to be... OK, Peter, I get your point here that, you know, there's all sorts of question marks put over foreign aid, who it's going to, corrupt governments and all the rest of it. We don't have time to address that issue at this immediate moment because at the top of the ad break we have to be bang on the moment. So we are going to be taking a short break now. Interesting topic of discussion, though, often pops up. But after the break, we're going to be looking at matters stateside with the brilliant Brylan Hollyhand. Don't go anywhere. He's coming up just after this.
It is therefore my honour to declare that the duly elected leader of the Labour Party is Andy Burnham.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks so much. I believe in all of you, and I am confident we can do it. Thank you very much. I have just come from Buckingham Palace, where I have accepted His Majesty the King's invitation to form a government. I know people at home are fed up with politics. I hear you, and I want to be honest with you. We have not been good enough, and we need to be better. We will be.
This man has no mandate whatsoever. He didn't stand on the 2024 general election manifesto. You cannot make the biggest change in British politics in 40 years without a mandate from the British people, and it will be only decent, right and proper to call a general election on that issue and to do it now.
Our 5th Prime Minister in 4 years. Blimey. And, well, look, we want him to succeed. But will this one be any different? Andy Burnham, the new head honcho, the speed this all happened, I know this is a well-trodden debate already, is actually breathtaking. 1 minute he was Mayor of Greater Manchester. What, a month and a bit ago he wasn't even an MP. The next he's holding keys to number 10 without the country ever really having a chance to scrutinise him in a prospective prime ministerial nothing at all. We really know very little.
I think Burnham has to walk a fine line. I think that's probably what's going on, because if he were to sweep into Downing Street and say, I'm going to change everything, I'm going to fix everything, I'm going to do things completely differently to Starmer, then people would say, hold on, mate, we need a general election in that case, because no one voted for that. No one voted for you to be Prime Minister. You weren't standing in the 2024 general election. We've never seen your manifesto. Who the hell are you? That's what people would be asking.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Alex Phillips tearing up the airwaves. Yo, 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 yo.
That one came in yesterday. Oh, I like the fact he did a little remix there. He feels like a DJ, doesn't he, Tekop? He managed to sort of like put them in together. There's a bit of an echo on the yo as the normal musical bed came in underneath.
He knows what he's doing, Tekop.
I think he's going to have a set in Ibiza this Christmas.
Yeah, why not?
I think Tekop on the turntables will be a delight. Nothing less than.
Yeah.
With the MC auditor.
See,
and I'll just
Mozart.
be sort of like, you know, doing some sort of like crazy 90s dancing and side stage like this.
We should remix Dan from Liverpool saying he absolutely loves porn.
Today's show is sort of... It's been surprising.
It was.
There have been elements in it that I did not predict. If someone last night had said, tomorrow on your show, there's going to be all of these things, Mozart hair, auditors...
other things.
Porn.
Yeah.
I'd be like, on a Sunday, really?
God's Day as well.
I know. It's been a... I think there's something about you.
It is. I do attract the weird.
You bring weird in
I do,
with
but
you. You always do.
I'm like Andy Burnham. I'm for everyone. I want weird in every postcode.
That emoji of a Prime Minister. I just cannot. I keep saying to people this. I get unnaturally upset, very riled, at a sandwich shop in Paddington. I'm going to have to see it later. In fact, I might have to remaster my route to get my train, because when I see this sandwich shop, it
Why
really...
does that upset you?
Because it's in this sort of like, you know, there's this sort of Vogue dusty pink colour that's everywhere.
Yeah, yes, I do.
You know, you always get a Pantone of the era, don't you?
Yeah, you do,
there's
yeah.
you know, the Farrow and Ball green
We had
Pantone
grey
is
for a while.
Pantone of the Cotswolds, and there's this sort of like dusky pink thing that's going about these days. Anyway, the signage is in the dusky pink. The lettering, the font, is basically Comic Sans, which is insulting. I just can't cope with anything Comic Sans.
It is the dumbest of the
And it's
fonts.
called My Favourite Sandwich. No, but to me, it is archetypal of the risible infantilisation of society. Be kind. Again, with this, to me, solar eclipse really upset me, because I was the only one who was interested in it. For the whole 2 weeks running up to it, I was like, Solar Wednesday, it's going to be brilliant. This amazing celestial event that civilizations since time immemorial have found staggering and significant and cosmic and, you know, and sublime. And no one was talking about it. And there was I, foolishly labouring under the apprehension that I'd be able to wake up on Wednesday morning, go down to the local newsagents, buy a newspaper and get my bins. But no one cared. Instead, what we had on the day of solar eclipse, which should have been a moment that the nation comes together, rejoices, celebrates, and sort of shares in this once-in-a-lifetime phenomenon. Because the next solar eclipse that big ain't until 2090. I'd be dead. I'll not be here. So I really wanted to enjoy that. Could I get my bins? No, because we weren't interested. No. Instead, what we had on the day is, don't look at the sun. It's like, well, I've managed to get through 42 years of my life without going blind.
But we have fertilised in this petri dish of society now a really stupid collective group of societal drones that just wander around waiting to be told what to do. As the state grows, your sort of self-sovereignty, your autonomy just gradually disappears, because you're like, I don't need to make decisions for myself because Andy's going to do it for me.
Like, I see full-grown men who are sort of like, you know, going about their lives like they should be in a romper suit. and you're like, this is why we've got a birth rates crisis as well, because what are these? They're children themselves. Little babies can't procreate. They cannot handle responsibility. And we just seem to live in a society now where it's mollycoddled to the extreme. It's like, weather warning, weather warning. It's going to be above 30 degrees. Drink lots of water. Like,
and we've got no water, so don't use the water.
I think my biological functions remind me that I could get dehydrated. You know, I get hot and it's like, I fancy having some water. I don't need the government to tell me to hydrate myself because it's hot outside. And it's all encapsulated in that absolutely boneheaded emoji toddler of the north in his special number 10 creche with his fuzzy felts and his mood board written in, like, I don't know, pink magic markers, you know, Andy for us. That picture of him that's on his X profile, on his social media, that was being held up on placards, where he's a cartoon. We live in cartoon land. That thing is supposed to be running a country, and he should be in a nursery school. He should be on play days.
If you've capitulated your autonomy to a leader, a political leader, then you're no longer human. you kind of deserve what you get as a result of that capitulation, because we should stand up for intellectual thinking. We should stand up for critical thinking above intellectual thinking. First, in order to be intelligent, you need to be able to critically discriminate. The idea tolerance is kind of both everywhere and nowhere, and we must never discriminate against anything, and right the way down to our law and order. So police can't even discriminate between baddies and goodies, because you must understand that the baddies, are worth just as much as the goodies. Well, that's not how humanity works. That's not how society works. In order for us to progress, as they wang on about the whole time, we need to be able to critically ascertain the right things, the wrong things, what's good for us, what's bad for us. And it's not a matter of opinion, it's often a matter of fact. But if you capitulated all of your autonomy to some greater good that is not God, that is Andy Burnham, then you are in a serious predicament.
Oh, it vibes politics. I just want adults to come back. I just want grown-ups again, because nobody is grown up anymore. No one has moral agency. Everyone needs to be told what being good is because it's the right thing to do. That, I just think, is one of them. That's how you speak to a 5-year-old.
Hope in every heart.
Don't pull her hair. That's not nice. Be kind. We are treated like we are toddlers because we're given no agency. We're not allowed to make any decisions. The minute you do, you're evil. If you start having an adult thought in your head, like, oh, I don't know, men coming into the country who have to be given a leaflet saying, oh, please don't rape, is somehow bad. Being an adult is being essentially a fascist in the minds of these people. They just want us all to be sitting there going, coochie coo. I love Andy. Andy's so nice. I just can't cope with this anymore. Do you know what I'd love?
Yeah.
I would love, because I think if it was Donald Trump in this country and his political opponent was Andy Burnham, he'd be having a field day.
Yes.
Baby Andy Pandy. You know, that he would just look at that puerile, cartoonish, mawkish, facile, risible little man and would just love it. He'd be in his element if that was Trump's opposition. And but we all sit here and just go, isn't he nice? Can someone just take him down?
Well, we're waiting, and I think it's very much Mr. Farage that's doing it. He's the boy that's pointing at the emperor going, is anyone else aware that this guy's got no clothes on? And you know, we need more and more of that. We talked earlier about coalescing on the right. The right, by the way, isn't the right that it was. I had a chat with Lempit Opik of Lib Dem fame of the early 2000s, the Welsh leader of the Lib Dems from 2001 to 2007. And the conversation we had would lead you to believe that he was a far right guy now, completely far right. His view in 2001 is exactly the same as it is in 2026, but now it seems totally far right. The idea that Lempit Opik is now representative of the far right because his views are of what we're told is the far right and exactly the same as they were in 2001 as a Lib Dem should be enough for people to start going, hang on a minute. This guy hasn't changed his mind. I haven't changed my mind since that point, really. I mean, we do evolve politically, but ostensibly our core values are about the same throughout, unless something absolutely comes along to shatter it all. Actually, for me, something did come along to shatter it all. That was Brexit. And it wasn't the vote, it was the reaction to the vote. It was then all the puzzles came together.
I always say it was the very first domino to fall in the West. People always think the first one was Donald Trump. No. Brexit came first. We were the first nation
that was June.
To turn around in response to what has gone on in the West. This sort of overbearing nanny state, the faux morality, the infantilisation. And Brexit was the first sign of democratic agency, of the people going, enough is enough. For whatever reason, whether it's trade, immigration, it was the first sign of the people saying, it's got to change. And that was when the mask really slipped, that you realise the establishment were like, don't you dare. And again, it's like treating us like 5-year-olds. Don't you dare leave the house without mummy holding your hand. You know, you can't do that. Should we get a caller?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's speak to Ian, who's in Bridgend. Bore da, Ian.
Shwmai, Alex, how are you, all right?
I'm very well, thank you, Cariad. Diolch yn fawr. What would you like to talk about, my love?
Right then, this blooming Welsh Government, you're talking about the expenditure on migrants. All the way through the election, Reform are warning people, you vote for Plaid Cymru and we'll get the nation of sanctuary. This week now, despite us having the longest waiting list in the country, our wonderful Welsh Government has committed £840,000 to a nation of sanctuary charity. You know, the state of Wales and what we're going through, and this is how they use our money.
So, 800. Tell me about this state of sanctuary charity. Is it going to be going down to Ceuta in the enclave of Spain and just scooping up as many Maghrebians as possible and sticking them in hotels? Like, what does this involve?
Well, bearing in mind, you know, Labour's proudest moment was lashing out £1 million a year to plant trees in Uganda. Goodness only knows where it'll end up, but it's not going to be for the benefit of the indigenous people of Wales, that's a cert.
I feel sorry for Wales. I feel sorry for you with your 20-mile-per-hour blanket speeds, which must be totally debilitating. I feel sorry for you that, you know, you've just been stuck in a socialist dystopian doom loop forever. I feel sorry you've got to have that blimmin' government down at Cardiff Bay, which just seems to add layers of bureaucracy and pettifogging onto a declining economy, quite frankly. Wales, a brilliant, proud nation, a beautiful land with some of the finest Brits that we have, and it's been absolutely driven into the ground.
Exactly, you know, and it's not just the Welsh Government, it spreads out to the WI, you know, Welsh Rugby Union as well. You know, we used to have a proud Welsh rugby team here, but, you know, they are limiting the scope for improvements of that now as well, reducing the number of regional teams here as well. It's right throughout Wales, it's endemic, you know. My opinions are, of course, very far right in Wales, but I tell everybody else, no, these are normal opinions outside Wales. It's just that Wales has gone so far to the left. It's crazy.
Oh, it really has. And I tell you what, though, start messing with rugby in Wales, that will be the end.
Exactly.
Don't you mess with rugby. Don't remind the Welsh that actually it was invented in England, though. Shh. Thank you. Carry on, Ian.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, invented in England, perfected in Wales.
There we go. Well, not looking as perfect as it used to be at present, just saying. Thank you ever so much, Ian. I love hearing that lovely, lovely accent. It's just, mellifluous.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
840,000.
That's and again,
I need to look into that.
I keep saying this today because I want people to understand it. It's the moralisation of politics.
Right.
So it's saying that everything I was talking about earlier, which is you feel like you're important, you feel like you need to be heard. The government are telling you that's what they'll do for you, and now they're creating sanctity states or sanctity towns where everybody can feel safe, and that will include this other guy as well, who will get on the bus and touch himself. But don't worry about that, because he has the same morality. We need to think of him too. And devolution has a lot to answer for. You know, devolution was seen as something nationalistic by people in Scotland and Wales. They were told that they were getting their nationalistic dream. They weren't getting their nationalistic dream. They were getting people that were overzealous, left-leaning, overly liberalised, trying to stay in power. Look at... It's no coincidence that both Wales and in Scotland under the SNP, they lurched further and further left to get as many people as... But they became weather-vane politicians. Sturgeon, for instance, at the end of her tenure... Tell me what Sturgeon stood for. I have no idea what she stood for.
Well, of course, Nicola Sturgeon was, again, beatified because woman. You know, at one point during COVID, she was basically running the country. And then as soon as they started putting that Fred West tent in the front garden and digging it up looking for camper vans or whatever, everyone just goes silent. It's like, oh, no, one of our own.
Because the trouble is, they've been told, moralistically, that you are on the right side of history. The right side of history. As I said on a previous show, anyone who says that is very unlikely to ever be on the right side of history. They're doing it to moralise their situation. The government are doing it at a national level, and things like the WEF are doing it at an international level.
Yeah. It goes all the way up, the madness. I love this message. Someone said, Andy Burnham is like a partner who has a shopping problem for things you don't want or need.
Yeah, it's exactly what he does. Look at what Andy Burnham has done since he's come in. He's only ever happy in a bus station. Take him out of a bus station, he looks like a fish out of water.
He don't like even Manchester.
When he was stood on the cliffs of Dover talking about immigration, he looked so far out of his comfort zone, it was uncomfortable to watch. And that's the man who's presiding over the solution of one of our greatest problems.
But also, this is actually, do you know what really represents and encapsulates what we're talking about, this infantilisation, nanny state and a country being run by absolute morons? It's got to be the emergency alarm. That was ridiculous. Andy Burnham goes on holiday for all of about 2 seconds. In charge is Louise Haigh, who about 5 seconds ago had sort of, you know, Fred Flintstone hair or whatever. It's just like crazy Wilma Flintstone, bright red hair, and was, you know, pretending a mobile phone had been nicked when it hadn't, which is just such low-level fraud. It's pathetic.
That's our Deputy Prime Minister you talk of.
And all of a sudden she's in charge. And it's a bit like a kid with a toy. It's like, right, what am I going to do? Got to prove myself, got to make an important decision. And the fire service go, right, there's some wildfires going on. If someone's about to be turned into toast in their house, perhaps the emergency alarm could be used to say, evacuate your home. No. It's decided instead, let's send about, 4 different versions of an emergency alarm saying, don't have a barbecue. What? I mean, the thing is now, that whole project's gone. It's done.
Yes,
because everyone's deleted it from their phone, or even if they haven't deleted it, it's going to go off and, there'll be a sort of nuclear warhead aimed towards, the centre of London, and it's going to go off and people think, what are they telling me not to do now? Oh, I'm not going to bother looking at that. I was in my hotel this morning. This is how, how much this has affected me. I was in the hotel this morning getting changed, and the fire alarm started going off in the hotel. That was my reaction. I was just like,
Exactly what happened.
I sort of wanted to plug my fingers in my ears while continuing to brush my teeth. I was like, because this overstimulation of everything's dangerous, everything's divisive, everything's critical, you've got to do this, don't look at the sun, don't have a barbecue. It's the boy who cried wolf played at large amongst, an entire nation where suddenly you just go, it's a bit the COVID reaction. Stay in your house, walk in a clockwise circle, don't sit on a bench.
When you repeat it back, it was absolutely mental.
Mad.
I was in a hotel myself because we're humble brags, big time celebrity, so we've got hotel access. I was in a hotel just a couple of weeks ago, actually, and the fire alarm went off at like 3 a.m. and I thought, nah. Well, I was actually getting up to do a media job quite early, and about an hour later, I was coming down the stairs, and there's this one German tourist, and she was like, am I allowed to come back in now? And I was like, did you go out for the fire alarm? She went, yes. And I went, no, you're fine.
Yeah,
no
it's all right. This is England.
Yeah.
Alarmism is so, it's so, 1999 millennium
Well, we don't believe anything. We don't believe anything.
Exactly.
There was famously a clip, when that alarm went off, there was a presenter on Sky Sports. The alarm went off when he was on air, and he just looked at it and went, it's just from the government, and then carried on talking about the football transfer that he was talking to his audience about. And that, to me, just summed it up.
Yeah, you've overstimulated us, you've over-triggered us, you've lied to us, gaslit us, been totally far too over-the-top alarmist, that now when there are real critical dangers, we're just like, oh, well. Right, let's take a break, because Brian Hollyhand has emerged from his American lair and is going to be joining us just after this.
we have to stand up to the French. We have to be much tougher. We have to stop. I mean, it is the pull factor is huge, but even without the pull factor, there are going to be people who, you know, want to come across that bit of ocean and come to us. And I just think, once again, you know, we do a lot of talking about it, and Andy Burnham, every time he's interviewed, says, oh yes, but there's fewer boats coming. There may be fewer boats coming, but they're actually bigger boats and they're holding just as many people. I think the money we're giving to France is unbelievably big for what they're doing for us.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Summertime and the listening is easy. Alex is shouting and the ranting is high. Oh, your outfit's cool, and yes, you're very nice looking, but the government's deluded, so don't you cry.
Oh.
Now, the second verse is when he actually mentions you.
Really?
Yeah, I know, but Tech Up decided we had to have the shortened version, so unfortunately we didn't get round to the
so
bit
you
about...
played that yesterday?
Yeah, because he talks about Peter Barnes, who's my Saturday comfort
Who's
creature.
Peter Barnes?
Well, he's you, but on a Saturday.
No,
Saturday morning,
Here we go.
she is joined by Barnesy, and on Sunday, it's often Paul Cox. Then back to Monday, so it's back to the weekdays. So Alex is off to the country for a few pints of grog.
Correct. Although, actually, this Monday I'll be working, and Tuesday. That was Merv.
That was Merv?
That's Merv.
No
yes,
way.
that is actual Merv. Yeah, I know. Wonderful.
By the way, I do know who Peter Barnes is.
Great.
I'm glad. He's watching thinking, Paul, we've met.
Well, brilliant. That's lovely to know. Let's all get together and do this as a threesome. Right, let's speak to Brylan Hollyhand, author of Make America Talk Again. How are you, young Brylan?
Good morning, how are y'all?
Oh, y'all. Love it so much. Let us start off with some sort of juicy chit-chat, which is finally Donald Trump has smacked down Tucker Carlson. He's accused him of being in cahoots with politicians who wish to take him down. I mean, the case of Tucker Carlson, the Carlson curve, to me has been really quite astonishing. A man who was sort of wholesome. He was sort of emblematic, in my mind, of the MAGA movement, of that sort of type of republicanism, which was sort of God, country. And I don't know, ever since he's left Fox and gone independent, he seems to have gone mad.
It's a good way to look at it. Mad's a nice way to describe the way he's acting on the public stage. I think I'd be a little harsher and say that the guy sold his soul for money and clicks and engagement, and it's been sad to see. I think a lot of people have decided to take some paychecks from foreign governments to attack our own country, and it's been really disturbing to see kind of this attack from people that claim to be so America first, but are really acting America last publicly. I'm disgusted by attempts like that. I'm disgusted by attempts like his colleagues. But what I do find comical, and it gives me some light to laugh at, is the guy thinks that he can even have a shot to be on the debate stage for president one day, when he can't even get a group together just to support him. So not going to happen. But he can keep on posting videos if he wants to from the outside of the party. He says he wants to start a brand new party. And I can't think of anything more destructive right now. So it just shows how selfish he is.
No, it's true. I've always said I've come to the realisation for quite a long time now that the so-called independent media that reigns on YouTube is actually far less independent than when you actually have the guardrails of a regulator, a corporation, and and lawyers at your disposal. Because what ends up happening is these people eventually end up having to just come up with sensationalist nonsense for clicks, or when they get really desperate, go knock on the door of Qatar, and it's just sad. It's sad when you see once great journalists going on that journey. Let us talk now about Iran. Again, it's dragging on. There's been a lot of activity in the skies over my house. American bombers. I see B-2s at least twice a day. F-35s were in the sky the other day, so I know there's definitely still some kinetic stuff taking place. But it just feels to me as though Iran are basically putting out that they've got the upper hand now, saying that anyone who joins in the economic war being waged by the US, which is, well, it's their war being waged, really, isn't it? The closure of the Strait of Hormuz, will be considered enemies. And I just feel like there hasn't been any progress. It seems to me there's a massive reluctance for Donald Trump to do anything greater militarily. He's worried about the midterms. He's worried about potential impeachment if he loses the midterms. Iran's not about to back down. It's becoming a sort of war of attrition almost, without there actually being much active war.
Well, what a surprise. The terrorists are acting like terrorists. I think a lot of people in American media don't necessarily understand that. And to Iran, I would just say, you know, what happened to your Ayatollah? Oh, that's right. We decimated that. We decimated your Navy. We've continued to decimate, you know, your nuclear operations. And they just keep popping back up because they had this goal of chanting death to America. You mentioned, you know, them flying over your house, and I think a lot of people around the world, the people that Iran is warning that if they, you know, stand next to the U.S., they'll be their enemies, should be grateful for America, because I don't understand why people think that they would just stop at attacking America. They obviously want world control. They obviously want to have this opportunity to be this, you know, terrorist superpower. And America is just the big bad villain that they can attack and bully, but it definitely wouldn't stop there. And so as America continues to decimate them, as America continues to have this opportunity, it's not only defending, you know, our homeland, but it's defending yours as well. There was this famous quote from Teddy Roosevelt, who was a president of ours about a century ago, and it said, you know, speak softly and carry a big stick. And it kind of goes along with what President Trump now says with peace through strength. I think a lot of people on the left that are attacking President Trump now say speak softly and don't carry a stick at all and just let us get trampled on. And now people are shocked on the world stage that we're actually fighting back for once. We're not going to allow America to be a laughingstock, and we're not going to allow America to be walked over, because remember what Kamala Harris and Joe Biden said to Iran. When we heard that they were going to start building nukes, they just responded with, don't. Well, then Iran built enough, you know, enriched uranium to, you know, build 11 nukes. I don't know if they need enough enriched uranium for 11 nukes to just turn their nightlights on. Obviously, they were planning to attack this country, and we did more than said don't. We wiped out their Ayatollah.
Yeah, no, I love the work, by the way. I cheer those B-2 bombers every time they cross the skies over my house. Talk to me now about forthcoming midterms, because Donald Trump has said if we lose those as the Republican Party and the Democrats get majorities, they're going to come after me.
Yeah, there's actually nothing more important than this race coming up, because there's this active coup going on inside the Democrat Party where the socialists that used to be kind of on the outside, the radical fringe of their base, are winning races and primaries inside their party, and they're their nominees now. You used to be able to could laugh at what was called the squad, and that was some of their more crazy members that would go have their press conferences, and they would say the crazy things like defund the police, get rid of prisons, abolish the Senate, and we could laugh at them because they were outside, and now they've created a coup inside the party and are actually elected as the nominees. So I do think that it's an easier race for us to point at the Democrats, as we have for cycles, and say, look, they're crazy, but now like they're literally publicly crazy. It's not just some fringe people. What we have to understand, though, is as we get people out to vote, obviously it's a midterm cycle. There's not going to be as much interest as there would be in, say, a general election as there was for the president just 2 years ago. What I've told the president, and I'll make clear again today, if he's watching talkTV this morning, is he's got to hit the campaign trail. He needs to be on college campuses. He has a laundry list of accomplishments that he's checked off for our generation, but he's got to go to campuses and remind them of that. You know, book out basketball arenas on every campus from coast to coast and put out that checklist of here's the promises I made to you when Gen Z voted for me. Put green check marks next to each and every one that he's accomplished, and then make a new set of promises for his final 2 years. Him reaching out to Gen Z, him earning our vote instead of acting entitled to it, is how he gets another 2 years of a majority.
Brylin, my darling, thank you ever so much. It's always wonderful having you on the programme. I was going to say a star in the making, but he already is a star,
This is awesome.
isn't he?
I love it.
Hey, that's why we keep having you back. One day we'll ship you over. We'll fly you across, and we will. Oh, actually, no, that's a better idea. My producer said we'll go there. I think that actually makes more sense, because you don't really want to come here. Everything you're reading is true. We're in a mess. Brylin, thank you ever so much, my darling. Let's speak again very, very soon. the Iran thing is getting on my wick. I actually just want Trump to be decisive now and say enough is enough is enough is enough, and do something with real kinetic force to show him that he's run out of patience. And I think that there's too many debates and discussions within the Pentagon, within the White House, within the Oval Office about the approach, which is kind of stymieing the entire operation, and it's just becoming a sort of a nothing biscuit now.
A nothing biscuit, yummy. Look, I think they're showing a weakness when it comes to Iran, unfortunately.
Yeah, I feel like that.
Because you either go into somewhere like Iran and you go full force and you instigate a win, or you end up with this quagmire, which is basically...
I think that's your fourth quagmire today.
Is it a fourth quagmire?
I think you've quagmired hard today.
Oh,
yeah, I've got like a...
Quagging
in my head, I've got the official...
Actually, I've said it twice.
Quagmire abacus.
Yeah.
Moving the beads along.
Politique quagmire. But no, I'm concerned because it's very poor optics for Trump, and it will affect his midterm. And the reason I'm concerned about that is because Trump is the last bastion of common sense across the world politically. So when he's absolutely stuck in a quagmire after the midterms, and he's got no control of the Senate or the House, and he can only the only thing that's left for him then is foreign policy. Maybe then he'll do something. I think a lot of people are misunderstanding that just because he can't do anything at home doesn't mean he can't.
But half of this problem has been created by us. It's been created by other Western governments, because if it was Obama who had said Iran cannot have, under any circumstances, nuclear warheads.
And done it in Obama language.
And then said, we're going to go and use bunker buster bombs to take out their nuclear sites. Everyone in the West would be like, Nobel Peace Prize, isn't he wonderful? What a hero.
The moralisation of politics.
Instead, what we said was, well, don't use our bases to do that. Don't you get us involved in that. And then when Iran retaliates and says, right, we're going to block the Strait of Hormuz, and Trump's like, come on, guys, let's get this thing open again, because your economies are going to get really bad, because this is what Iran does. The Houthi rebels, the funding of the proxies, they're a bad nation. Let's get together and defeat them. We went, nah, it's all right. Shouldn't have done that, because now we've got really high energy prices. And you just think, what? It is Trump derangement syndrome, but it is now at the cost of geopolitical security. I noticed the other day, the latest thing is, everyone's obsessing, all the leaders of Europe are obsessing about some houses being built in the West Bank. I don't care. This is not of national importance to anyone in Britain, anyone in Italy, anyone in... no one in Europe is affected by an Israeli settlement in the West Bank. Nobody. In the same way that nobody in Europe is affected by, the Sudanese burning each other's villages down. And that is a far more critical, horrible situation going on in that country. And it's like this sort of anti-Israel thing now that Burnham's continuing with. It's a stupid distraction. It's crippling geopolitics, which then really affects our security.
Well, the further destabilising of the Middle East by Keir Starmer recognising Palestine as a state, and then when our Andy Burnham came in and said, oh, we've made mistakes, and doubling down on that rhetoric, further than Keir Starmer ever did, has helped compound this issue tenfold. We pushed our biggest ally to one side and said, we're not helping you, not even allowing them just to essentially park their plane somewhere. That's all it is. It's like someone's gone on holiday, they're in a bit of trouble and saying, can we leave our car on your drive? And we've gone, absolutely not, mate, we're not getting involved in this whatsoever. And they've done it purely on political grounds, because now we've compartmentalised and said, if you support Israel, bad.
Yeah.
If you support Gaza and Hamas, exactly the same thing, good. And how does that make sense? How is any critical thinking being applied to that? And fair play to Israel for hitting their housing targets in the West Bank.
Can they come and sort out ours?
Angela Rayner could learn a few
we need to build some new homes on controversial green belts. So over you come. Tell us how it's done. Right, OK, we are going to take a short break. On the other side of that break, we've got a special treat for you.
Yeah.
Because it's Mr. Steve N. Allen.
Get in.
N for nicotine, I reckon.
It is, yeah.
It is, yeah.
I could never actually... I'm sworn to secrecy.
What the N is?
It's the comedy code. Yeah, I know, obviously, we have to agree.
I mean, imagine having your sort of your bespoke nomenclature being the N-word.
Yeah.
There you go. He's joining us just after this.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Live on a Sunday, on your TV, or through your radio, it's Alex Phillips and a superb comedian on the South Coast, Paul Cox!
Hey!
I don't get his pig. It's oink a lot. It's a transgender dog, apparently.
Actually, these just get better and better. I think that's an upgrade because the original was... But I quite liked the auditor.
The auditor.
You know, would that
it was
be...
orator, by the way. I'm an orator.
No, it was definitely auditor. And when you're down Ali Pally in the darts final, that's how you're going to be introduced.
Is that what I look like? Do I look like a darts player?
Well, no, because they have their names like, you know...
The auditor. Why couldn't I have been a gladiator?
A wrestler.
Yeah.
I think you're more darts than wrestling. I ain't gonna lie. I just, you know, this is the house of truth.
Could it be cuddling? Is there any cuddling competitions I can get involved in?
Okay, do you know what? Let's bring in an independent adjudicator to determine. Steve!
Hello, I'm the adjudicator and he's the auditor. This is a sexy show, isn't it?
Yeah, mate, you should have been listening earlier. It really did get quite spicy at one point. There was all sorts of conversations about, you know, I had a listener phone in telling me how much he loves porn.
To quote Steve, Dan from Liverpool said he is a massive porn lover. Whilst we were having a discussion about the disbenefits of porn on young men in society, he openly told us.
Don't deflect from the adjudicator's job.
I'm trying to get Steve
Just
on
for
board.
clarification, before we move on from that, a massive porn lover, does that mean he's a massive lover of porn or he loves massive porn, which I imagine is a different subcategory?
That's a niche. That's niche.
Yeah.
IMAX
You've got to
porn.
make sure sturdy.
Porn maxing.
IMAX.
Is he, by the way, is the auditor a darts player or a wrestler?
No, I like the auditor. He looks like he's an accountant, but not chartered. Do you know? He's management
Not
accountant.
chartered, yeah. I'll tell you how to get away with your
Uncharted
expenses.
territories.
Yeah.
Right. Let us talk about... Well, first of all, let's talk about Andy Burnham, because he's now going to send inspectors who can demand access to properties. You'll be fined if you don't let them in, because they're going to be the mansion tax police. This is where he's decided that any properties worth more than £2 million will have to pay extra council tax. And if you don't let the magic inspectors come and sniff around inside your home, you could be fined. It'll be a criminal offence. That's really sinister. Can't you just go on Zoopla?
Like everyone else would, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, it's so sinister and it makes no sense. So what happens? Let us in, we want to value your property. No, they kick the door down. Well, you've got to take 200 quid off for that for a start. Do you know what I mean? You cause damage to the place trying to make your way in. Also, there's no such thing as, like, valuation police. They don't exist. What you mean is estate agents. Yeah. And they all inflate everything, don't they? So you'll get an estate agent come around and call it, you know, a bijou with a vibrant area. All of them will end up being valued as being way more expensive than they actually are. And I don't think it will work, because I tell you what, if you want to lose the faith of this nation, make it so that the government can break into your house, because that surely is the last line that we won't be comfortable with. You know, the Englishman's home is his castle, but come on in, the police want to have a good look round. No.
But it totally changes the game of what it is that they are assessing, because a property's value is the value of the bricks and mortar, the land it's built on, the postcode. If you're sniffing around the house and they're like, well, you've got an Arga. Oh, didn't know you had a sneaky Picasso on the wall there. All of a sudden, it is what you own. It's all of your assets. It's anything that you might have inherited or bought. And that to me is creepy.
Yeah. And also it means no one's going to do any work. You know what I mean? Like the idea of, oh, we could have a new kitchen, but why? That means when we get inspected, we'll be taxed for it. So you'll actually kill off another industry, another sector. So, like, we've got a housing market that barely shifts anyway. No one dare do that. Other than people who've got a property that's just over 2 million or whatever the cutoff is, they will be desperate to sell it. It will push its retail value below the million without making any difference to the genuine value. All of a sudden, these properties would be worth slightly less. Well done. That's people's pensions ruined. And then no one would be doing any investment. No one would be, because normally it's either you move or you put a bit of money into your house and make it worth more. Those two things would be ruined. Like, stamp duty already kills the market anyway. This idea, this mansion tax, would kill the top end, which just means then there's no movement lower down. So that's it. Wherever you are right now, stay where you are. They've killed the housing market.
Yeah, and whatever you do, like, you know, hide your Arga, because it's probably worth a bomb or two.
Usually when you're trying to form an argument or a debate, you have the fact, or your facts, because you're allowed your own facts now, and then you have the conclusion you're trying to reach. And the way you normally destruct it is by arguing about the why. How does that follow? Why is the fact connected to the conclusion? And in this case, it's very much, obviously, the politics of envy, but it's basically saying, we need to know. Philip Kinsley earlier said, basically, someone like Andy Burnham wants the whole country to be one great big council estate. This is the best way to do it. This is the best way to do it, because basically no one's going to want to live in a £2 million house. You'll probably find most people living in £2 million houses wouldn't necessarily be able to afford to buy that £2 million house again.
There is something, again, right, imagine this was Kemi Badenoch or Nigel Farage introducing a policy where it would be a criminal offence to prevent a government inspector coming and sniffing around the inside of your house. It would be fascist Farage, it would be like, you know, killer Kemi. It would be, this is evil, this is how, you know, extreme right-wing government behaves. I just think there's something at the very basis of this. Yeah. That's my house, that's my privacy, that's my stuff. I bought it, everything, that's my world, that's Alex land. I do not want baby Burnham's little, you know, fascist inspector to come around and see what's hanging on my walls.
There isn't that much difference.
What my kitchen's being fitted out like. That's grotesque.
Each road has a maximum value for its house, really. You can go down a street in the area, you know, Steve lives in, I live in, you live in, or whatever, and you can pretty much say what a house has got, a 3 or 4 bedroom or 1 bedroom flat or whatever it's going to cost in that street. You don't need to go inside. Now, what's inside can make some difference. Yeah. It makes it slightly more desirable. But this isn't about its desirability. This is about its worth, so you can tax it. Right. Well, it's only worth what someone's willing to pay for.
I reckon it's basically they've decided there'll be a load of sort of houses on the margins that, you know, might not be worth 2 million. They might be like 1.8 million, and it's like, ooh, but let's go inside. You've got a Turkish toilet. You've got a rainforest shower, have you? Ooh, you've got a fire pit in the garden. That puts you over the 2 million mark. It's just grotesque.
Steve, I mean, do you have a Turkish toilet?
I don't have a Turkish toilet. I have a Greek toilet, which is actually just it's a broken toilet. But if you're good at squatting, apparently you have to have them these days. You can't put the paper anywhere near it. No, that's a different thing, isn't it? No one wants the inspector coming around. But if there's a knock on the door and it's the auditor, ooh, so a lot of the ladies would be opening the door.
If I come to you, are going to let me in. I won't find you either.
That is basic. I love the fact that these two things go hand in hand. The revelation that you are the auditor, and the fact that there are going to be these people sniffing around inside houses. You're just...
The fine's only 200 quid. If they're only going to come around and ask once a year, I'd pay 200 quid not to let in a government official into my house.
Yeah.
You'd pay 200 quid not to pay way more than £200 worth of tax on your property. So again, it's the dumbest idea.
It is so dumb. Now, one of the things which reveals quite how extreme immigration is in this country that I've been told before, you know, everyone goes, oh yeah, but about 68 million, I reckon. We're not doing a census anymore, so who knows? No. We know because you can't get phone signal. Because there are so many people with mobile phones now that nobody can basically get on the blower. I mean, it's like that in where I live. I mean, but it's like that everywhere now. I tell you what, the first political party to turn around and going, we're going to unleash a load of extra bandwidths and put up more phone masts so you'll always have signal, they're winning the next election.
Yeah, bit of 6G. I mean, there'll be a bit of pushback about how that controls the chips in us, but it's amazing, isn't it, that you can't get enough signal to actually use your phone, and yet when there's a bit of an alert about barbecue status, when the barbecue status alert has been raised to, all of a sudden we can all manage to get that message. How is that possible? I managed to get that on, weirdly, I got the message first on my main phone, secondarily on my burner phone, and if ever there's a type of phone that you want to be careful of during dry season, burner phone. Andy Burnham phone.
Andy Burnham phone. Can you make that noise again when the barbecue alert is raised to...
That's absolutely
amazing.
Brilliant.
I love it.
I have noticed this, though. Have either of you two noticed this? I have noticed in the area in which I live that the phone signal has definitely declined over recent times, the last year or two.
That's because the phone masts are overloaded.
It's because of the sneakers.
It's the sneakers. It's sneakers on top of everything. But it's a huge problem in this country. We need to... It's ridiculous that, you know, I've been on a camel in the middle of the Sahara... Can't say it. Sahara Desert, being able to, like, you know, do a FaceTime home. But standing in my own street, it's like...
Well, it's the obvious downside to a system where everyone who tries to get anywhere near the UK via the water is given a free SIM card. What? Your welcome pack now includes a free SIM card, and then you wonder, why can't I get signal? I wonder why.
Oh, the games that you play, this happens to me all the time. There'll be me in rural Gloucestershire speaking to someone in rural Kent, and it's just like phone tag every 5 seconds, and by the end of it, all you get is, like, you pick up the phone, it's like... And it's because you're just swearing because you can't get through. So it's sort of like this strange Morse code of expletives going backwards and forth between you and no productive conversation. It is so annoying. But someone's got to get on top of that. Now, this is hilarious, right? So the Green Party, you know, their membership quadrupled in 1 year between 2024 and 2025 because, you know, Zach Polanski started wearing leather chaps, dancing in Heaven nightclub and saying gays for Palestine and all that. So everyone just salivated over this thinking he must be the second coming of Christ. They made a lot of money from that, for all those new members. But do you know what they spent it on? They spent it on legal costs, more than £1 million trying to fight battles against people with gender-critical views.
My God.
Yeah, it's amazing. So the article kind of writes it up like, oh, they're wasting the money. Why are they being so wasteful on these court cases they could never win? I'm just shouting at the newspaper, don't you see why, you fools? It's not because they want to win. It's because they want to drag people through the court. Because for all of the £1 million they've spent on pointless court cases, the other person, the defendant in it, also has to spend money for their lawyers. So that's the threatening thing, isn't it? You want to watch out, because if you do something the Green Party don't like, they might take you to court over it, lose, but you've got to stump up the cash for the lawyers in the meantime. Also, what's that phrase, that the process is the punishment?
Yes.
So it's not about winning or not. It's about making people have to go through it and just chilling any debate that they might want to get involved in.
I would accept that Steve is a desirable woman rather than go to court over this stuff, though. That's how they win. I'm quite happy to go on the internet and say Steve's not a woman. But the minute the Green Party get involved and want to take me to court, I'm like, fill your boots.
That's not even a good example. I got a 34-inch leg over here, so who wouldn't love a...
Just one.
Well, I've got
just
two.
one 34-inch leg. The other one's a lot shorter.
Yeah, I walk around in circles.
What is going on now, like, in UK politics? Because it all started with America. You know, America invented the whole concept of litigation, ambulance chasing, no win, no fee. They love that over there. Then they started using it in politics and was like, oh, this is fun. We can make Donald Trump look really bad by bringing up a private prosecution. Now that's what's done in politics. It's like, oh, let's not bother running a country. Let's just try and sue each other instead.
Yeah, because, you know, money gets to control it, because actual politics still requires voters to do its bidding, whereas if you can get court cases involved... And here's the horrible fact about laws. If it can be misconstrued and misused, the law will be misused, because that's kind of the job of lawyers, isn't it? Where they go, look, oh, we know this law wasn't written for this, but we think we can use it and bend the truth somehow using some sort of fancy language, which means, oh, the judge has to go along with it. So it's heading us to a very dark place, because we can't vote out the judges.
Now, here we go. In another example of clown world. Of course, we're just releasing every rapist, murderer, terrorist, ne'er-do-well who should be locked up for eternity to just come and hang out with the illegal migrants and make our world a better place to enrich our society. Because everyone is beatified, everyone's perfect, and everyone should be treated as such. Now, there's going to be 5,000 prison inmates released early, and the probation officers, instead of going, right, we better control this situation, ankle tags, where are they? Are they back on the rob, the nick, the rape? Now they're just going to quit instead. Great. Seriously, probation officers are going to quit because Labour are releasing 5,000 people early. I mean... It's like Mad Max out there.
But I've got some sympathy for this, because if you're at work in probation, well, you're pretty soon going to have to deal with an awful lot of terrible people. These people should be in prison, for crying out loud, and you'll have to see them on a daily basis. So we should have predicted this coming. It was obviously going to be one of the many consequences of the early release scheme. Oddly, if you want the best quote about the prisoner early release scheme, you have to go to Keir Starmer from before he was Prime Minister. There's a lovely clip where he says the problem with the prisoner early release scheme is that you have to release prisoners early. And as much as it was just word salad back then, it's absolutely the problem, isn't it? He nailed it, but then didn't do anything about it when he had the gig.
I totally agree. I just think that there's this new thing in the UK that no one wants to work, no one's happy. Every time something goes wrong, it's like, oh, doctors, we're going to go on strike. You know, police officers, well, we're just going to quit. Probation officers, well, we don't want to do this anymore. The civil service, if reform gets in, we're not going to work anymore. Nobody wants to work. Just as well, AI's coming. By the way, so is an advert break. We're back after this.
We have to stand up to the French. We have to be much tougher. We have to stop. I mean, the pull factor is huge, but even without the pull factor, there are going to be people who, want to come across that bit of ocean and come to us. And I just think, once again, we do a lot of talking about it, and Andy Burnham, every time he's interviewed, says, oh, yes, but there's fewer boats coming. There may be fewer boats coming, but they're actually bigger boats and they're holding just as many people. I think the money we're giving to France is unbelievably big for what they're doing for us.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Alex Phillips. Oh, what a woman. And Foxy Coxy. I'll take 2, please. Giving it large portions on a Sunday.
I love it. I mean, it's just, it's but makes me feel slightly uncomfortable at the same time.
Yeah,
there is something I don't quite know how to, the set of my face during that moment. We still got Steve.
Of course we have. He must be wondering what on earth that was.
Steve's gone.
Has he?
We didn't tell him he was allowed to go. You told him he could go. Oh.
Steve will be watching this now thinking, I have to stay. No one told me.
I was keeping this one especially for him. I thought he'd love this.
I'm not as clever as Steve,
There's basically in the Daily Mail, it's the story for the ages. Basically, Susie Dent of Dictionary Corner has been exploring English's lost lexicons of exotic put-downs. Now, this is totally up my strata, this. Gilly Gorpus. Love that. Apparently, if someone follows, their boss too closely, they're called a catch fart.
Right. That.
And then,
I guess you would do, wouldn't you?
This is a good one. So basically, there's another word for somebody who is a puppet politician, basically Andy Burnham, which is based on a wooden toy whose limbs jerked about when its strings were pulled. Apparently they're a quacker-wodger.
Oh, he's a right quacker-wodger.
There you go. He's a right quacker-wodger. And then, I've got a bit of Shakespeare in here. Scullion, Rampallion, Fustelarian. And, I can't read that. That one's way too rude.
Is it naughty?
It was really rude. It's Rantallion, but it's what a Rantallion is.
Right.
And
is it phallic?
I I mean, we've gone quite far on this show already, but I don't know if we can go that far. But did you know?
I heard
where
someone's
the word...
talking. I heard someone's talking about rapscallions and ne'er-do-wells. I got a call.
The voice of God.
Oh my God.
Someone needed a.
See it. There he is.
Someone needed someone talking about pernicious mountebanks. Hello, I'm here. What do you need?
There you go.
God.
Oh, Steve.
I was going to have to act intellectual for a second there, Steve, but I can sit back and let you do it, mate.
I mean, Ramtallion. Ramtallion is my new favourite. Quokka Roger and Ramtallion are my new favourite words. I love stuff like this.
A crock of what?
A Quokka Roger.
Yeah,
a
you big
Quokka Roger is some old sort of wooden toy whose limbs jerked about, and it's what you use to describe a puppet politician. Andy Burnham is such a Quokka Roger.
Isn't it terrible that we didn't need those words for so many years? Most of us don't know them because we didn't have to insult our prime ministers for that, and all of a sudden you've got to get that word dusted off again. This is the time that we're living in it. It's really good, though. I always think the best way to insult someone is in a way that they have to go home and Google it before they can be offended.
Yeah.